Memorial Day sale ever.
All sports, all the time. This is 1410 ESPN Radio.
All right, everybody, welcome in. It is the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, live here on Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM. Kev, happy Thursday. How are you?
Man, it's Thursday.
It is. NBA Finals kick.
Yes, sir.
Kickoff. You could just tell if it's all about football.
Tip
Even
off.
when it's not. No, but it's tipping off tonight. You're right. But we welcome you in. We're live on Facebook. Let me make sure there's a camera right there. It's not doing me any favors. Of course, I don't do the camera any favors either. But speaking of cameras, we're live on Facebook. Head to Facebook, search the Justin Kinner Show, and jump in on the conversation. Not only can you watch the show live there, that is the number one way you can interact with the show, outside of course, giving us a call at 518-1410, 518-1410. Yes, NBA Finals officially tip off tonight. Golden State Warriors are 3.5-point favorites. Boston Celtics, they're no stranger to the NBA Finals scene. One thing I forgot about, too, is the fact that, you look at Brad Stevens, who was viewed as this next up-and-coming big coach in the NBA. And although he did have very good success in Boston, no doubt about it. But, you make that coaching change and all of a sudden, boom, is it the coaching change that led to the finals appearance? I would say that it led to an identity on at the defensive end for the Boston Celtics, and it definitely played a role. But I think it was just a culmination of everything coming together. Players just finally starting to gel and starting to take that next step in their career. But, I forgot about the Brad Stevens element until I was listening to that earlier today on the air.
Yeah, don't forget he's the GM. You know what I'm saying? So the trade that they made, trading Kemba Walker for Al Horford to bring him back to the Celtics and everything like that, that obviously paid big dividends for them. You know what I'm saying? Al Horford is still a productive player in this league, a dude that can stretch in the floor and create spacing and everything like that. Still a monster on the rebounds and everything like that. Definitely a good pickup for them.
All right, it's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, live here on Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM. So my favorite thing about sports, Kev, is especially it's the ebbs and flows and the styles of which teams play in any sport. In the NFL, we talk about it, how my favorite thing about it is, although that you would assume that the key to being an elite NFL team is you have to have a top-notch elite quarterback, which I think that's a given, but you have to be a team that airs it out. You have to be an aired out type team to win the Super Bowl, but that's not the case. I think those are the types of teams that you're most comfortable with, right? And that you feel like you have a product that's going to be more aesthetically pleasing to the fan base and everything. But at the same time, there's many different ways you can win. We've seen, teams like the Patriots, who aren't the best passing team, but could just dominate you with defense and, running the clock on the ground, the run game and just controlling the tempo and that type of thing. There's so many different ways you can win in the NFL, and that's what makes that interesting. Baseball, we've talked about. One of my least favorite things about baseball, you mentioned it yesterday, is every team looks the same. Every player has to bat the same. Every player has to have the same goal of putting the ball in the stands, not fouling it off, of course, but home run or nothing. Even if you're not a home run hitter, damn it, you better be swinging for the fences every time. It drives me absolutely bat blank crazy. If you are an elite pitcher and you are rolling, well, we've got to take you out after the fifth inning because we just can't let you go any deeper into a ball game because it's never been done before, right? Like everything is the same. You watch one game, you watch them all, except when you watch one game, sometimes you have better players to play out that game plan versus other teams who are trying to play out that same game plan just with worse players, which makes it even harder to watch. But with this NBA Finals tonight, Stephen A. Smith on First Take yesterday, I believe it was, got into it with Mad Dog Russo about, the way that the game has been changed by Steph Curry. And Steph Curry changing the game always fascinates me a little bit because sometimes I can't tell. I don't think Steph Curry has changed the game, but I think he is the face of the movement of the change in the game. And what I mean by that is for Steph Curry to be the absolute reason that the three ball has taken over the NBA, I think that's a stretch. I don't buy into that theory. I think when people keep talking about, man, that Steph Curry changed the game, I don't know if he changed the game, but the game is played differently than it used to. I think he's just the face of the way that the game has changed. I mean, people talk about Steph Curry as if he's the only one shooting threes, if he's the only one doing something that everyone else isn't. If, I look at players like Shaq, who there was only one Shaq. I look at players like LeBron, who there's only one LeBron. There's only one Michael. And I will say, technically, there's only one Steph, but at the same time, there's a lot of players doing what Steph does. They're just not doing it at the level of which he does it, but it's not as if he's the only one on an island by himself playing that way. He just does it better than everybody else, to where there was only one Shaq. There was no other player in the league that looked like LeBron. There was no other player in the league that played or looked like Michael until Kobe came around, and he was MJ 2.0 as far as the way he looked, the way he talked, the way he moved, the way he shot the ball, the way he chewed gum, the way everything. It was just very, but I say that because I'm one of the biggest Steph Curry fans out there. I love Steph Curry. He's one of my favorite players in the game. In fact, when they played at the Pacers earlier in the season, me and a bunch of friends, we went down to watch because we were hoping to watch him make history. But the league is rigged, and they made sure it was set up to where he could break into Madison Square Garden and not Indiana. Ugh. But I say this because Steph Curry, Kev, or Stephen A. Smith on Steph Curry talked about Steph Curry changing the game. Take a listen. I'm curious your thoughts.
He changed the game. No. He elevated it to a point where it was acceptable because you're looking for somebody to produce somewhere close in the vicinity of what he does and what Klay Thompson does to a slightly lesser degree, okay? But the reality is, you know who the biggest culprit for all of this is? It's Mike D'Antoni. He knows that. He played for Mike D'Antoni. Mike D'Antoni wanted you to shoot threes or layups. He didn't want no mid-range game. He would consider benching you if you took a mid-range shot. Am I lying?
Except for me. I mean, I shot a lot of mid-range.
Not you. But those guards that you put out there,
absolutely.
If they launched mid-range shots instead of three, doggy, he didn't like it.
And this goes back to his
That was Amari on there?
Yeah. And this goes back to his time with the Phoenix Suns well before Steph Curry was even in the league. So that's why I get real defensive when people say, oh, Steph Curry changed the game. I don't know why we always have to do this when there's a dominant player that he changed it. I don't think he changed the game. I think he's just the face of the movement of which the game changed. The three-point shot is a part of every team. For instance, the Lakers got to play a certain way with Shaq because they only had Shaq. All right. The Bulls played a certain way with MJ because they only had MJ. No one else had an MJ. No one else had a Shaq. I know a lot of teams had LeBron because he liked to bounce around a little bit, but you see my point. With Steph Curry.
Giving Bron cheap shots today. Okay.
And I like LeBron, but a lot of teams, for a player to change the game, it has to change the game to the point. Like Steph Curry, look how many other teams already play like that anyways, with or without Steph Curry. I mean, the Golden State Warriors are going to play that way with or without Steph Curry. He just makes them better. To where the Lakers, they weren't going to be able to play that way unless they had Shaquille O'Neal. The Bulls wanted to play that way unless they had Michael Jordan. And the same thing with these LeBron-led teams. So that's my only argument against that. Do you believe that Steph Curry has changed the game, or do you agree with me that he's more of just the face of the movement, if you will, because the league has adopted this whole movement, the obsession with the three-point shot?
He changed the game because that team that he was a part of proved that you can win a championship by shooting three-pointers at that clip. No other team has been able to prove that.
Or that the second best player on the team that they beat was Matthew Dellavedova, but I see your point.
This dude.
I'm sorry.
Dude.
I mean, I have a point, right? I mean, but continue.
So they were able to prove that they were able to win a championship by being a three-point shooting team. And that sparks everybody else. Well, they did it. We need to do it. And then that just opened up the floodgates. So obviously everything that Mike D'Antonio was doing with the Suns and everything like that, that was mind blowing. I mean, it was the European style of basketball. And then you have a rule change where, saying there's no hand guarding anymore. So that allows Steve Nash. I mean, if you look at Steve Nash's career, there's a line where you see basically his points per game go up, his shooting percentage go up, his assists go up, everything skyrockets. And it's the year that the NBA rule changed where it allowed free movement of space, not only no hand checking, but you can't hip check people and on picks and everything like that, or back cuts and stuff like that. So everything went up in that direction for a guy like Steve Nash. And now you have an elite shooter like a Steph Curry running the point, having the ball in his hands and shooting the ball at that clip. It just changed everything. So it's a combination of everything. So he is the face of it. But what I will say is, for a guy like Steph and a guy like Klay, they don't shoot the ball like Steph Curry and Klay used to. They're not shooting at that clip anymore. They're not shooting in the 43 and 45% from three-point area anymore. They're down where the league average is. You know why? Because they're not 25 years old. They're not 28 years old anymore. They're like 32 years old. That's a lot of core strength. That's a lot of legs in those shots. And over time, You can't shoot those shots anymore. I don't care how great of a shooter you are. You know what he does? His toes are on that 3-point line now. He's not pulling from half court like that anymore unless he's really feeling it. And they're shooting a bunch of middies, a whole bunch of mid-range shots, and getting layups and everything like that. So I credit not only Steph Curry and Klay, but, Kerr for adapting to their age. You know what I'm saying? And they're having championship medal and everything like that. So they're going to grind out these victories, but they don't shoot like they used to. So I think it's coming to a point where you can see guys still attempting to do it, but unless you're elite level shooter like those two, I don't really see it happening like that. Your best two guys, like, yeah, you can have your specialist that shoots those, like, Timmy Lechner was a specialist 3-point shooter, but the main guys be able to shoot at that clip, nobody in the NBA does that like that. And not even those two guys, the two best shooters of all time, don't even shoot like they used to.
So I agreed to this is why I went diving into the numbers a little bit just to take a look, and we'll even put, we'll slap back the NBA music back a little bit as far as that's concerned. But you talked about, Steph changing the game, but there's so many teams that are playing this way with or without Steph Curry, as my point. So back in the 2015-2016 season, Kev, first of all, when I went looking at this, it's amazing how many teams average 37 or more 3-point attempts. Attempts. 37 shots per game are coming from behind the 3-point line for a good chunk of teams. But back in the 2015-2016 season, Kev, how many teams do you think averaged at least 37 attempts per game?
That's 7 years ago? I would say probably like 12.
0. So back in 2015-16, the Golden State Warriors averaged 31.6 3-point attempts per game. That was the high. They shot more 3-pointers than anybody else. And that was before Steve Kerr had gotten there. I think that was back when Mark Jackson was there. All right. And then in the 16-17 season, one team averaged 37 3-point attempts per game at the very least. In the 17-18 season, one team again. But then in 18-19, the Golden State Warrior team, as well as the Houston Rockets, started kind of dominating that. Again, 3 teams began shooting at that high clip. The Clippers were another one, but they also had J.J. Redick during that time.
Right.
And then Eric Gordon, by the way, I don't think gets enough credit for who he is as a 3-point shooter when you think some of the top 3-point shooters in the game. I mean, it's every time you look at these individual stats, it's always Steph Curry, it's always James Harden, it's always Eric Gordon. And that just fascinated me because I'm not saying you don't, but like when you think of the 3 best 3-point shooters in the league, Eric Gordon doesn't come to my mind right off the top of my head. In the 2019-2020 season, 6 teams attempted 37 or more per game on average. And then in 2021, it was 9. And then this most recent season, it was 9. So within 7 years, you went from no teams attempting 37 3-point shots a game to now 9 teams averaging that. And that's at the very least. You also have 3 teams averaging 43 3-point attempts per game. And that's still with that Golden State Warriors team. Then you start looking at how many players. This is where I really found it interesting. Go back to that same 2015-2016 season, Kev. The very least 8 attempts a game. How many players do you think back in 15-16 averaged at least 8 3-point attempts per game? Not minimum, but not maximum, minimum.
None.
4 players averaged 8 attempts or more back in that 15.
Do you happen to know who?
Season. Steph Curry averaged 11 a game. Dame Lillard averaged 8.1. Your boy Dame time.
Same time.
In 16-17, that number increased to 5. Again, this time it was Steph. He went down to 10, and Harden was up at 9.3. 17-18 is about that same line again with Harden and Steph again. It's Harden and Steph the whole way through.
Basically, yeah.
But then it skyrockets, by the way, because then you go to that 18-19 season, 7 players average at least 8 3-point attempts per game. Then you go to 19-20, it doubles. 14 players at least average 8 attempts a game. Folks, 8 shots, forget 8 3-point shots, 8 total shots in a game is a ton.
Yeah, if you're taking 8 3-pointers, how many 2s are you taking? You know what I'm saying?
That's what I mean. Like 8, if any player in the league, an average player in the league, if you could tell an average player in the league you're going to get 8 shots tonight, that's a lot for an average player. But 8 shots for a great player only coming from one avenue of the game is just insane to me. So then 19-20, 14 players averaged 8 attempts or more. Harden averaged 13 attempts per game that season. The 2021 season, 15 players averaged 8 attempts or more. Steph Curry, just last season, 12.5 per game. And then this year, Steph Curry leads all three-point shooters at 12 a game. But 16 players. There are 16 players who average at least 8 three-point attempts per game. And then there's probably even more than that because you get into that 7.9, 7.8 range. I mean, it's the three-point game.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying is it's like everyone's doing what Steph Curry does. So that's why I can't say that he changed the game unless maybe you can make that argument because I guess everyone in the league's doing what he's
following what he's doing.
But it started trending that way before he became Steph Curry, and I just felt like he became the face of the movement of the league. To whereas, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's
because
not like
success makes people want to do things. If you're not successful, nobody's going to try it. Like nobody tried to do the Isaiah Ryder between the legs dunk before that, and now you can't do an NBA dunk contest without somebody doing it. You know what I mean? So like when you succeed at something, everybody wants to mimic it. Like with Michael Jordan, when he came on the scene and everything like that, there was feed the big man. And if the big man can't score, kick it back out to you. Well, when Michael Jordan came in the league, give me the ball. I'm going to the rim. And then that embodied a ton of dudes that decided to try to play ISO ball. Very few of those dudes actually made it to the NBA. One of those guys that modeled their game after Michael Jordan, another guy outside of Kobe Bryant, same draft class, is Allen Iverson. People don't think that Allen Iverson is a quote unquote son of Michael Jordan, but he is. He is a son of Michael Jordan because he plays exactly like Michael Jordan. He's just 5'11". You know what I mean? He tries to post up and fade away like Michael Jordan at 5'11", goes to the rim like a maniac like Michael Jordan at 5'11". There's so many guys out here who try to mimic what is great about Michael Jordan. And that's exactly what happens with everybody. When something is great and it works, I want to play like them. I want to be like Mike. Oh, man, X, Y, and Z. You want to play like this guy? Like when Dirk came on the scene, big man shooting threes. Now that we see, everybody shoots threes. Everybody's not just shooting threes, but shooting jump shots. I mean, think about it. If Kevin Durant was born in 1975, he would be on the block, turnaround hook shot. Now, as he was born in whatever year he's born in, he's coming bringing it up. Oh, I'm shooting the jumper at probably 16 years old where he's 6'7". That just doesn't happen anymore. So it's all a product of seeing what works. And what works right now for a lot of guys is seeing Steph Curry blaze that three ball, and everybody now is blazing that three ball, but they're not doing it at the clip that he did at his peak. And I mean, even a guy like Trae Young, who is like a quote unquote son of Steph Curry, he pulls it like a maniac from half court. I haven't looked at the numbers or the shooting percentage, but I got to believe that he's probably somewhere around 35%. And I mean, that's a Trae Young.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like, but I mean, what Steph was hitting at his clip rate, and that's what makes Steph so special. He can do it off the dribble. He can do it off the shoot and catch. He can do it all. Where Clay is more of a catch and shoot type of guy. I think that's why people like look at Steph, because he's not over crossing you over, pulling up, shooting threes. Like people just wasn't doing that until he did it.
Yeah, and then there's the argument, but at the same time, Steph Curry don't even have the best 3-point stats over this last 5-year run.
Facts.
James Harden,
right?
Very simple. But again, if Steph Curry's not winning championships, if Steph Curry's not a regular in the NBA Finals like he's been over the last 4 or 5, actually 6 years now, we're not talking about this as far as an evolution of individualized player. Now, you talked about the Michael Jordan stuff, MJ. Stephen A. Smith was talking about that on First Take about, Steph Curry, did he change the game? So he said, yeah, he elevated the game, not really changed the game, which is a take I agreed with. I don't think Steph Curry changed the game because the game was already changing before we knew it's not. So the game was changing and then he became the face of that movement. It's not as if the game was played a certain way in the post and then the Steph Curry fellow came along and all of a sudden, oh man, he's taking a lot of threes. Now we're going to start taking a lot of threes. That's not what happened. Now, this is an interesting take from Stephen A. Smith involving who you just talked a little bit ago in Michael Jordan. So we'll take a listen to what he had to say here as far as how MJ changed the game. And this might startle some people with the way he phrases it.
Guy I love so much that I believe is the greatest player to have ever played. Michael Jordan is responsible as much as anybody for changing the game for the worse when you consider you. Stay with me on this.
Okay.
This is throwing no shade on Michael Jordan, of course. He's the greatest ever in my estimation, number one, all right? But he's phenomenal. That the NBA marketed the individual, the audience gravitated towards the individual, or individualized because people wanted to be like Mike.
Let's be clear. I don't watch First Take.
Oh no, I didn't even let you hear that soundbite earlier, so it was a good.
I didn't even know that. I did.
So Kevin A. Smith over here,
like he's right. He's right. Like, look, man, as a kid watching Michael Jordan, I did the whole tongue out, air reverse and everything like that. I'm 6 feet tall. I've dunked the basketball twice in my entire life, but I wanted to be like Mike. As many other players out there in the NBA, I wanted to be like Mike. People, actually players my height, actually good players on the team that I rooted for, the Cleveland Cavaliers. I mean, we had Mark Price, we had Terrell Brandon. Those are dudes that I could possibly be like them because they're my size. Nope, I want to be like Mike. And that isolation ball that Michael dominated with early in his career when he was averaging 38 points a game that one season, everything like that, that people loved it. People ate it up. You come with the shoe deal with Nike, you got the best shoes on the market. People, oh man, I got to have those shoes. You got the great Gatorade commercial, and then you magnify that by winning championships. It's to the moon, man. It's to the moon. And what young people don't realize, especially myself at that time, like his points per game went down by like 9 to 10 points. But guess what? Started winning chips. And that's what really matters. He started winning chips and his shooting percentage went up. So that made him an even better player. But people still only saw him dunking on folks, him fadeaway jumper, him winning rings. I want to be like Mike. He did. It is. I mean, you can think about the tons of dudes that came through the NBA. Harold Miner, used to call him Baby Jordan. When Michael Finley was at Wisconsin, because he's from Chicago, Michael Jordan clone. Like, it is so many guys out here that wanted to be like Mike. And for the betterment or for the worse, however you want to view it, his impact was crazy.
So, but that's also the similar argument that people are making about Steph Curry is that you have kids my height now that feel like they could play the game at that level because of that one ability to shoot the basketball.
Right.
Excuse me. So everything you just said is true, though, because, you know, everyone did want to be like Mike. Everyone wants to be like Steph now.
Yeah.
You know, it's tough to try to emulate who LeBron is from his pure size standpoint. He's an NFL linebacker dominating the NBA. Talk about players like the post players. You look at Jokic and some of those guys coming in. It's tough to be them because we're not built like him. We don't look like him. We're not 7 feet. We can't, you know, be the best athlete on the floor at 7 feet and be able to shoot the three as well as dominate down low. Can't relate to him. Can't relate to Giannis Antetokounmpo. That's why Allen Iverson was so popular, a smaller player. You know, MJ, you can relate to him with his style of play. And that type of thing. So that's why a lot of the old school guys, the guys that like the game to slow down. And by the way, I don't like to say I'm an old school NBA fan, but I did like when the game was slowed down just a tad. I'm not a huge fan of the 3-point attempts at this clip. Here's the difference. It's not that I'm against the 3-point shot. I'm against the bad shots. And I think there's way too many bad shots that most coaches now consider good shots within the game plan because, hey, the more threes you shoot, the you know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, it's that analytics.
Standpoint. But to old school fans, that looks like a very sloppy way of playing basketball, even though that's a very smart way of playing basketball based on what the analytics are telling them. But the old school fans are saying Steph Curry's ruining the game today because everyone's trying to shoot the three and be like him, when really it's just, you know, for what. And here's the other thing, too. MJ gets all the credit for everyone wanting to be like him. But, you know, with Steph Curry changing the game from the eyes of most, we got to give credit to Mike D'Antoni because he's the one that allowed that style of play to play. Well, Doug Collins is the one that let MJ do whatever the hell he wanted. All right. Because he can't pass like LeBron. He can't rebound like LeBron.
Go check those stats on MJ's passing, by the way.
He's not as good as LeBron, though. I'm just saying. He's not as good a rebounder. He's not as good as a passer. Anyways, we're not getting into that. But Adam Selzer on Facebook says the MJ tongue out as a kid was a must growing up playing basketball.
Absolutely. How many kids out there had to get stitches in their mouth because they out here playing basketball with their tongue hanging out like a fool?
And how many kids quit in the middle of their high school career because that's the cool thing to do? What'd I say?
You are the guy that thought Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was still playing in 1991.
I was playing. I was 2 in 1991. 518-1410. By the way, it's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash here on 1410. Wing AM NBA Finals tonight. The Steph Curry and the Golden State Warriors at home, 3.5-point favorites against the Boston Celtics. And another message coming into the show, Kev. Wish tip-off was earlier than 9:20.
Yeah, man. Gonna be a late one.
Not people in the Bay.
Right, exactly.
You know anyone in the Bay?
I do know somebody out in the Bay. Shouts out to him.
But the people that are, I mean, like we always think it's us. Oh, do they not consider us? Well, I'm pretty sure people in the West Coast, that they kind of enjoy these late tip-offs a little bit so that they can come home and enjoy watching the game after a long day's work instead of, a 7 Eastern tip-off that at 4 o'clock you're coming home at halftime or something. Look, we got to stop doing this whole thing that all poor us. Like there are other people in the world that live on a different time zone that this is actually probably for them more than for us. Plus, this works out pretty well. So you have Golden State on the West Coast is good for their fans.
Yeah, it's a 6:30 tip out that way, or 6:20 tip or whatever. I mean, let's be clear, it's the NBA Finals. I'm watching, and I'm
getting their avocado toast ready.
Yeah, I mean, now if it's somebody goes up 20 in the fourth quarter, I'll be going to bed. But I don't see that happen. I think it's gonna be a tight series all the way through, tight games all the way through.
Justin Kinner, Kev Nash. We'll be back in a moment.
Listen, stream, watch. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash right here on Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM.
Hey, here to tell you about my friends at Cordell Transportation. They're now hiring Class A CDL drivers and offering a $5,000 sign-on bonus. That's right, a $5,000 sign-on bonus. Home daily, dedicated lanes, and no-touch freight. Brand new equipment as well. Medical, dental, vision, and company-paid life insurance. Call Cody right now. Apply online at CordellTransportation.com. Cordell Transportation, driven to succeed.
Trade pros. Whether you specialize in service or new construction, Ferguson knows firsthand how much work goes into a long day on the job, which is why we're committed to offering the products and solutions to get every job done right. With over 1,000 locations, an unmatched selection of specialty products, tools, and supplies, our pro pickup and same or next day delivery, you can trust that doing business with Ferguson will be the easiest part of your hard day's work. Visit Ferguson.com to find a counter location near you.
Cutting the price of your wireless bill feels good, really good. Actually, it feels great. You should try it out. So cut your bill by switching to Straight Talk Wireless. Now offering our $45 Silver Unlimited plan with 5 gigabytes of hotspot and nationwide 5G on America's largest, most dependable networks. The $45 Silver Unlimited plan from Straight Talk. Straight Talk Wireless. No contract, no compromise.
A month equals 30 days. See terms and conditions at straighttalk.com. 5G capable device required. Actual availability, coverage, and speed may vary.
Hey, I'm Andy. If you don't know me, it's probably because I'm not famous. But I did start a men's grooming company called Harry's. The idea for Harry's came out of a frustrating experience I had buying razor blades. Most brands were overpriced, overdesigned, and out of touch. At Harry's, our approach is simple. Here's our secret. We make sharp, durable blades and sell them at honest prices for as low as $2 each. We care about quality so much that we do some crazy things, like buy a world-class German blade factory. Obsessing over every detail means we're confident in offering a 100% quality guarantee. Millions of guys have already made the switch to Harry's, so thank you if you're one of them. And if you're not, we hope you give us a try with this special offer. Get a Harry's starter set with a 5-blade razor, weighted handle, shave gel, and a travel cover, all for just $3 plus free shipping. Just go to harrys.com and enter 4455 at checkout. That's harrys.com, code 4455. Enjoy.
Cutting the price of your wireless bill feels good, really good. Actually, it feels great. You should try it out. So cut your bill by switching to Straight Talk Wireless. Now offering our $45 Silver Unlimited plan with 5 gigabytes of hotspot and nationwide 5G on America's largest, most dependable networks. The $45 Silver Unlimited plan from Straight Talk. Straight Talk Wireless. No contract, no compromise.
A month equals 30 days. See terms and conditions at straighttalk.com. 5G capable device required. Actual availability, coverage, and speed may vary.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. Dashboard light problems? We can help. Our free Fix Finder service can read your check engine light, ABS light, and service indicator light, and give you possible solutions, verified by licensed technicians. You'll even get detailed results sent straight to your email so you have them when you need it most. It's the most complete free warning light report backed by technician-verified fixes. The free Fix Finder service, only at AutoZone.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
More details at AutoZone.com.
Hey, Mike, what are you doing way up on that ladder? You're going to hurt yourself.
Oh, I'm trying to unclog these gutters.
That's smart. I had water damage from my gutters last year. It cost me $10,000.
Wait, $10,000?
Yeah, and from over here, it looks like water's been pouring over your clogged gutters, and it's probably doing real damage to your foundation. You need to do what I did. Get off the ladder and call Leaf Filter.
Yeah, but I need to get these gutters flowing now.
That's why you need to call Leaf Filter. They'll clean and realign your gutters and install their exclusive micro mesh screen system so nothing gets in your gutters except water.
So Leaf Filter protects my house from damage and means no more gutter cleaning for me?
Bingo! Plus, Leaf Filter has an industry-leading lifetime warranty, so your gutters are covered for life.
Thanks, Frank. I'm calling Leaf Filter today.
Don't go another day with your home unprotected. Call 1-844-300-LEAF or go to tryleaffilter.com for your free gutter inspection. Call 1-844-300-LEAF or go to tryleaffilter.com right now for an extra 15% savings. Call 1-844-300-LEAF or go to tryleaffilter.com. That's 1-844-300-LEAF.
Want to see the recipe for the perfect meal? Just stop by Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken for great food on the go with a chicken breast combo for only $5.99. You'll get our classic Famous Recipe chicken breast that's fresh, never frozen. It's honey dipped, hand breaded, and pressure cooked, then served up with a regular side, a fluffy biscuit, and a drink. This is why our chicken is famous. Get the combo that can't be beat with a chicken breast combo for only $5.99. Only at Lee's. Famous for chicken.
Let's face it, you all have outdoor home projects to do. Mad River Mulch and Topsoil is here to help as the area's leading provider of processed topsoil, garden mix, animal bedding, and mulch. We cater to the professional landscaper, contractor, and the DIY homeowner. That's you. Buy in bulk, mulch, rock, topsoil, and sand. No matter the size of the project, we can help, and we deliver, often the same day. We also carry firewood, bedding, and fuel pellets. Mad River Mulch and Topsoil, just off I-70 and Route 4 in Springfield. Order online at madrivermulch.com.
When you went car shopping, you meant business. You aced vehicle history searches and test drives. Now you've got your wheels. If you manage that, you can get your retirement plan on track. Visiting aceyourretirement.org can help. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Indoor baseball, anyone?
Most party fouls are pretty dumb, but if you decide to drink and drive underage, you could lose your license and your freedom. Learn more at ultimatepartyfoul.org. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Well, Jason, I've got to tell you, you're pretty much everything this company is looking for in an entry-level candidate.
Great.
Your resume isn't quite what we're used to, but you've got a fantastic work ethic.
Thank you.
And I'm impressed by how you carry yourself.
So, should we talk about the job?
What? The job? Oh, sorry. Yeah, I have no way of recruiting or even meeting you. This interview didn't happen.
It may sound ridiculous, and that's because it kind of is. There's a huge pool of talent your company is missing out on. Meet the grads of life. Who are they? Talent worth knowing about. Young adults of unique determination and experience. An ideal fit for your company in an entry-level position, internship, or even mentorship. They might not have every qualification you typically look for, but they're exactly who your company needs.
Man, we really could have used him.
Don't miss out on a resource many innovative companies have already discovered. Go to gradsoflife.org to learn how to find, cultivate, and train this great pool of untapped talent. Brought to you by the Ad Council and gradsoflife.org.
Longer days are a welcome sight, just like these unbeatable prices at Rural King. Get 4 gallons of Pool Shock liquid chlorinator for just $9.99 a box. Or Taste of the Wild High Prairie grain-free dog food for $49.99 a bag. In-store only. And don't miss out on assorted veggie or herb plants for just $3.99 a piece. Shop these deals and more at ruralking.com or your neighborhood Rural King, America's farm and home store.
Getting enough sides so you don't have to share? That's finger licking good. Order the KFC Side Lovers meal today and get 3 large KFC sides served with 8 pieces of tenders or fried chicken. Prices of participation may vary.
He's a former Buckeyes great and now a college football Hall of Famer. And don't forget about his 13 years of NFL experience playing for the Eagles, Dolphins, Jets, and the New England Patriots. He's Dayton's own Keith Byers. Hang out with him every Monday at noon on The Keith Byers Show, presented by Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken.
right, and we are back. I'm Justin Kinner. He's Kev Nash. Hanging out with you here on Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM. Yesterday, we had Alex Sogard on, the head coach for the Raiders, Wright State Raiders baseball team. Wright State will be in action in the Blacksburg Regional NCAA tournament for college baseball. Of course, they are the only team in the state of Ohio to be in the NCAA tournament, by the way. But we had him on yesterday. I always appreciate his time. He kind of hopped on with us before they headed over to Blacksburg. They got the 1-seed Virginia Tech coming up on Friday. That's a 7:00 game. And Wright State's already played them. I mean, they did technically lose the series 2-1, but sometimes I think when you get into these tournaments and you see a 1-seed in front of you and you see these bigger colleges and you're like, oh man, like sometimes you could let this school is no stranger to playing those bigger schools. I mean, hell, Wright State pretty much plays an SEC schedule to start every season because they just, well, it's a little too cold to play here, but in March, whenever all that season starts. But you know, they keep chipping away. They're coming so dang close. I mean, they had success against Ohio State a few years ago. And then, of course, we've seen them go up against Louisville. We've seen them go up against, last year in Tennessee. And what was a hell of a game. The best baseball game I've ever watched at the college level, especially. That was, I mean, no doubt. It wasn't even the result I wanted. But they keep chipping away. I feel like this could be that year that they finally get over that hump, even though this roster is probably not one of the better ones that they've had over the last couple of years.
Yeah, man. You talk about that game from last year, man. What an epic game. Epic game. Obviously, it didn't go our way, but it still was a great game. But, you know, as a fan of the university and a fan of all the sports teams over there, man, you know, I'm definitely going to be locked in watching, you know, and like you said, early in the season, like they weren't off to a great start. Maybe it's because of the competition they were playing and everything like that. But those type of matchups get you ready for the College World Series. You know what I'm saying? So they're no stranger to going on the road to these big programs and everything like that. They're not going to be scared. They're going to go out there, and I think they're going to put on one heck of a show.
Again, Wright State, the only college baseball team in the state of Ohio to be playing in the NCAA tournament. Their second
one more time
appearance this coming up season, this coming up Friday night, especially as they have the 1-seed Virginia Tech. Other baseball news and notes. It's funny to start. To start the show, although we opened up with NBA, some guy on Facebook, he messages us and says, Kenner, you cursed the Reds' good pitching yesterday by talking about it. Yes, and I tell you what, 7-1. The Reds gave up 7 runs yesterday. So there's that. Here's the problem with the Reds right now. You know, it talked about how great the pitching has been, but the run support's just not there. And I'm afraid that the run support may not be there for a while, if at all, this season. And on top of that, sometimes, although you're getting you're not getting run support, you're getting good quality pitching. Eventually that messes with the morale of your pitching staff. And sometimes that can have, wears your pitching staff down. Eventually it's like, instead of just a pitching staff being able to relax and say, okay, good, we got a little bit of balance and some runs. We're pitching. Now they just always feel that pressure. I remember back when the Reds had Johnny Cueto, and of all the pitchers the Reds had during that Johnny Cueto era, the Reds provided him the least run support of any pitcher on that in that pitching staff. And I would always accredit that to, and they had guys that could hit, by the way. You had your Brandon Phillips and your Jay Bruces and your Vottos at his peak, of course. And, you had a lot of really good hitters, the Todd Fraziers of the world. You had dudes. The problem is I don't know what it was. It might have been a mental thing, because the guys that step in the box, oh, you know what? We have Cueto on the mound today. We don't, you know what I mean? Like, we can maybe be a little bit more aggressive at the plate. We could take some more chances that we normally don't take, whatever it is. It always fascinated me that Cueto left. I think he left his Cy Young on the table, because that one, I think it was that second to last season. I think there would have been 13 or 14. That second, they had lost so many games and they only provided him about 2.5 runs per game.
Ouch.
And he had lost so many games while pitching deep into the 7th inning almost every night. And it's like, you got to be kidding me. Like I think he left a Cy Young on the table just because of the fact that the Reds couldn't provide him run support. But this year, I think you're going to start to wear guys down. You're going to wear guys down like Hunter Green. You're going to wear guys down like Luis Castillo and others who are going in and just pitching gems, and it's just falling apart on him. Last night, Hunter Green wasn't his best stuff, of course, but nonetheless, the Reds back in action tonight. They got the Nationals 6:10 coverage begins right here on 1410 Wing AM. No NBA Finals game tonight due to Reds baseball, but the Reds and the Nationals coming up. But yeah, the Reds lose 7-1 last night. They do split that series with the Boston Red Sox in interleague play. Fascinating too, Kev, because the Reds haven't lost a series since the Blue Jays. But outside of that Blue Jays series, they have taken care of business. They haven't lost a series. They've only lost one series in the last month. that's why they're creeping back into it. I mean, they've either split or they've won the series, which is what you're going to have to do the rest of the way. Someone, I think it was Buster Olney that tweeted out the other day, the Reds are on pace to lose 100 games. I think based on the win total right now, when you look at the full body of work, yes. But when you look at the fact, I think they've finished 14 and 11, I believe, is what they finished the month of May. Or I'm sorry, they didn't finish the month of May 14-11. Their last 25, they finished 14 and 11. The previous 25, they were 3 and 22. But everyone's talking about who they are based on that 3 and 22 start, and not realizing that 14 and 11 over the last 25 games, not great, but definitely not that 3 and 22 start when we were ready to say sell the team, Bob. Now we're like, can you just lease it somewhere? Can you give it to someone who cares, please? But nonetheless, so real quick, we'll run down just to kind of give an update too on kind of how standings look across Major League Baseball. When you look at the Cincinnati Reds right now in the NL Central, yes, still in the basement there, but 17 and 32, they're 13 and a half games back in the NL Central. I'm not following a divisional race for them right now, but they are 13 and a half back. The Cubs and the Pirates both with 22 and 21 wins apiece, third and fourth. The Cardinals are 29 and 21, and the Brewers are 32 and 20. It's really going to be the Brewers and the Cardinals that are really kind of running that division and chasing down that division title. Out of the NL West, the Dodgers 33 and 17, sitting comfortably at the top as expected, as well as the Padres up there in the mix as well, 30 and 20. They're 3 games back. The San Francisco Giants, who the Reds had a good chance of sweeping this past weekend, but did take 2 or 3 from. They're 5.5 back in the West at 27 and 22. Diamondbacks 25 and 27, and the Rockies in last place there at 23 and 27. Out of the NL East, the Mets 35 and 17, sitting at the top there. 24 and 27 is the record of the Braves, 10 and a half games back. I mean, that looks like that's the Mets division to win, but of course, we've seen the Mets go on some epic collapses over the years.
Yeah.
The Nationals, who are just a few years removed from a World Series, they're 18 and 34. They're 17 games back. In fact, they're further back in their division than the Reds are in theirs. And that's who the Reds start with a series with them tonight, a 3-game series on top of that. So keep that in mind. And the American League, Kev, the Yankees 34 and 15, sitting atop the AL East. The Blue Jays 29 and 20. The Reds just dropped 2 or 3 against the Blue Jays 2 weeks ago, but they're 5 games back. The Tampa Bay Rays are 5.5, and then the Red Sox, who the Reds just split with, they're 11 games back. The Red Sox are 11 games back, and the Orioles 13.5 back. They're last in that division. The Twins, right now in the driver's seat in the Central, 5-game lead over the White Sox and your Guardians. The Detroit Tigers are 9 games back, and the Royals 12.5 back in their division. But that's kind of where we're sitting right now. But the Reds right now, they do not have the worst record in baseball. That record does belong to the Kansas City Royals, who's last in your team's division, Kevin.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We just beat up on them. Won like 2 or 3 first down.
Houston Astros, they're in first in the West. They have a 5.5 game lead over the Angels. Angels 27 and 23. They might actually get Mike Trout back to the playoffs for only the second time in his career. That's insane to me. The Rangers 24 and 25. They're 8 games back behind the Astros. The Mariners 11.5 back, and the Oakland Athletics 14 games back. And that wraps up your MLB standings wrap up right now. Again, so just to give you an idea, the Reds, they were the worst team in baseball. The sun is coming out. They're the second worst team in baseball. Now they're getting better.
So I got a question for you.
Okay.
All-Star game, July. Where do you want to be if you're not leading the division? How many games back is a comfortable spot for you to say, like, we still got a chance?
You don't want to be, as far as the worst, how do you word that? The most comfortable of the worst case scenarios,
yes,
if you will, because what you'd like to be is in first or a game out. But I'm saying of the worst case scenarios, you got to be single digits back. I'm not saying it's impossible. We've seen teams do it before, but I mean, if you're within that striking distance, if you're about 8 to 10 games back, you're 2 good series away from cutting it to within 4 to 5 games, and that's how you have to view it. But I think if you're anything more than 11 or 12 back, you don't want to be there. The thing is that you have to be realistic with the Reds. The Reds aren't coming back to win this damn division to begin with. I was
talking about the Guardians.
Oh, your Guardians.
We're sitting at 5. We good. We got a series curse the White Sox coming up, I think, in like 2 weeks. So we definitely got to get 2 or 3 from that.
So as far as the Guardians are concerned, they're 3. The good thing for them is they're 3 games back in the wild card.
Right.
I don't mean to be talking about playoffs right now, wild card standings right now. But again,
I do.
We're in June. The All-Star game's in over a month.
Yeah.
Wow, it is, isn't it? I feel like the season just started. It does not feel like June, by the way. But the Reds are 10 games back of the National League in the wild card as far as that goes. By the way, the San Francisco Giants hold that last wild card spot. The Reds just took 2 or 3. All right, you got the Diamondbacks right there. The Reds have their shot against them coming up. All right, the Braves, the Reds split with the Braves in the first series of the season. The Reds have had their success against the Pirates, of course, who are 5 games back. They have their success against the Cubs, and they're going to have, the Marlins. Every team that's in front of them in that wild card, the Reds will have multiple series with moving forward. So keep that in mind. I'm not pushing that the Reds have a chance to make the playoffs. Like, all I care about, can we at least be interested in you?
Right.
Heading into August, can we at least say that maybe there's a tiny little that's all I care about. But that 3-22 start, none of that. Hey, so soccer's in the news again. Apparently there's a player on the U.S. men's national team that took a shot at us Americans yesterday. This is America. You can't take shots at Americans. He took a shot at Americans yesterday. I'll talk about that next.
The Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash. Presented by Brad Mays with Home Experts Realty. Weekdays at 3 p.m. on 1410 ESPN Radio.
Don't miss the Hot Tub and Swim Spa Blowout 10 sale this weekend only at the mall at Fairfield Commons. Browse a huge outdoor display of hot tubs and swim spas from major brands at up to 50% off. See swim spas in action offering exercise, fun, and therapy all year long. Visit hottubshow.com or call 800-SPA-SALE.
Why choose proven quality sleep from Sleep Number? Because our Sleep Number 360 smart bed is really smart. It senses your movement and automatically adjusts to help keep you both comfortable. Plus, it's temperature balancing so you stay cool. It's even smart enough to know exactly how long, how well, and when you slept, and to help you get almost 30 minutes more restful sleep per night. Sleep Number takes care of the science. All you have to do is sleep. And now, during our Memorial Day sale, save $1,000 on the Sleep Number 360 Special Edition Smart Bed Queen, now only $19.99, only for limited time. To learn more, go to sleepnumber.com.
Do you owe the IRS $10,000 or more in back taxes? Are you being audited or investigated? Has the IRS sent you a letter demanding payment? You may not owe what they claim. Make this free call to the tax doctor now. Let them negotiate with the IRS on your behalf. Call 800-631-9123. 800-631-9123. That's 800-631-9123.
You don't get to be the league's all-time leading rusher without feeling some pain.
Pro football legend Emmitt Smith knows joint pain, and he also knows the old treatments aren't the only treatments. Today, there's a natural alternative to drugs and surgery. It's biologic therapies from QC Kinetics.
I'm talking regenerative solutions that encourage your body to heal and repair itself.
Do you have pain in your hips, knees, shoulder, lower back? Want to get your life back? The local medical professionals at QC Kinetics can help.
Call to learn more about this exciting natural way to deal with chronic joint pain.
Don't put it off. Call QC Kinetics. Restorative regenerative solutions with no downtime and lasting results.
Don't let your joint pain keep you from doing the things you love. There's a new natural solution that patients are raving about.
QC Kinetics.
Make the call to QC Kinetics. Tell them Emmitt Smith sent you.
Call QC Kinetics, 937-936-0325. That's 937-936-0325. 937-936-0325.
Hi, this is Eddie Sorrell, Service Manager at Germain Honda Beaver Creek, recipient of Honda's President's Award. When your vehicle needs service, we make it convenient. Open 6 days a week, including all day Saturday. We also welcome same-day appointments and walk-ins as well. Our technicians are factory trained, and we offer a new state-of-the-art facility, clean waiting rooms, loaner cars, and free alignment checks as well. Ask for the $99.95 alignment special. Germain Honda Beaver Creek, Route 35, just east of 675. Between Xenia and Beaver Creek.
Getting enough sides so you don't have to share? That's finger licking good. Order the KFC Side Lovers meal today and get 3 large KFC sides served with 8 pieces of tenders or fried chicken. Prices of participation may vary.
KTH Parts Industries has immediate openings for second shift production associates and equipment technicians. KTH promotes from within, offers an attractive benefit package, including medical, dental, 401k, attendance bonus, and a competitive wage, starting at $19 per hour with annual increases and shift differential. KTH will be hosting walk-in interviews Monday through Friday from 7:30 a.m. through 3 p.m. Please bring a resume and photo ID to apply or see other career opportunities at kth.net. KTH is an equal opportunity employer.
How come you guys don't talk more soccer? Talk soccer. Talk about a sport that no one cares about. Come on, Kev, talk soccer. Don't worry, Kev, I won't bring you into this. So we're going to talk soccer. Soccer's in the news.
Kickball.
Have you heard of the name Christian Pulisic, Kev?
I have not.
Well, you're about to. Christian Pulisic calls out United States fans after beating Morocco. Now, my only familiarity with Morocco comes from the Christmas episode of The Office. I mean, that's about it. But Christian Pulisic was critical, Kev, of the number of United States men's national soccer team supporters at Cincinnati's TQL Stadium during a 3-0 victory over Morocco this past Wednesday or yesterday in the first of 4 World Cup warm-up matches in June. Now, I mean, this is, United States men's national team. I get that, like, there should be, you would assume that there would be more of a following, that there would be more of a crowd showing up. And there could be many reasons why that's the case. I mean, it could be because gas is I think $25 a gallon right now. But after the game, they had a 3-0, a 3-0. What's the proper, it's 3-0.
3-0, yeah.
It was a 3-0 win over Morocco. And Christian Pulisic was, being interviewed in the post game, and this is his comments regarding the situation.
Been a couple months since you were back in front of these U.S. fans. How'd it feel tonight?
Yeah, it was nice. To be honest, for whatever reason, I'm not super happy with the amount of Americans here. However, that works out. If I'm being completely honest, but it's thanks to the ones who did come, and the support is always great from them. But yeah, it's nice to be back in America and playing again.
Thank you, Christian.
Thank you.
I'm to backhand compliment. It's nice to be back in America again, but you guys suck. You American supporters suck. Where were you? Now, at least the one thing I do care, I appreciate his honesty. I mean, he was honest. Where the hell are you guys at? But I don't know if anyone's told him or not, but it's soccer. I don't know if anyone's told him or not, but it's soccer. No one cares.
Of all the multitudinous manifestations that water can take, in oceans and ice cubes, in glaciers and streams, vapors and rain, double black diamonds, lap swims, and brains. Of all that water everywhere, only 0.5% is fresh water available for human use. That's why at Moen, we're innovating to save 1 trillion gallons of water by 2030. Discover Mission Moen at moen.com.
My friend and I are taking a trip to Mexico this year, but neither of us speak Spanish. So we downloaded Babbel and started learning Spanish fast.
Want to get conversational in another language in as little as 3 weeks? Babbel's quick 10-minute lessons were designed by language experts to be the most efficient and effective way to learn a new language.
¿Cómo te llamas?
¿Cómo te llamas?
Babbel, language for life, celebrating 10 million subscriptions sold. Now try Babbel for free at babbel.com. That's BABBEL.com.
Hey, I'm Andy. If you don't know me, it's probably because I'm not famous. But I did start a men's grooming company called Harry's. The idea for Harry's came out of a frustrating experience I had buying razor blades. Most brands were overpriced, overdesigned, and out of touch. At Harry's, our approach is simple. Here's our secret. We make sharp, durable blades and sell them at honest prices for as low as $2 each. We care about quality so much that we do some crazy things, like buy a world-class German blade factory. Obsessing over every detail means we're confident in offering a 100% quality guarantee. Millions of guys have already made the switch to Harry's, so thank you if you're one of them. And if you're not, we hope you give us a try with this special offer. Get a Harry starter set with a 5-blade razor, weighted handle, shave gel, and a travel cover. All for just $3 plus free shipping. Just go to harrys.com and enter 4455 at checkout. That's harrys.com, code 4455. Enjoy.
College football playoffs, Browns, Bengals, Buckeyes, and more. Catch the Keith Byers Show Mondays at noon on 1410 ESPN Radio. WING 1410 Dayton. Dayton's ESPN Radio.
Hour 2 of the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash. We are off and rolling here on a Thursday. Kev, that first hour flew by. I guess time flies when you're having fun.
Absolutely.
Or not. I mean, I have no clue if you're having fun or not, but it is what it is.
I don't have a choice.
That is true. Are we done here? So, all right. So in all seriousness, that we talked about this a little bit ago. We were just, soccer fans. Soccer I can't get into. Kev, is there one sport that, let me word it this way. Is there one sport that you don't like that you wish you could get into? Because for me, it's hockey. That's a sport that I can't get into. I want to. I could watch. I could see that there's energy there. I could see that there's something there, but like I just can't get into it. No matter how hard I try, I'll sometimes I'll sit down. I'll put a game on TV. I'm like, let me just watch it and just see if I can follow it. I can't follow it. I can't get into it. There's just nothing there. And that's common. It's obviously one of the more popular sports in this country, but it's not top 3 by any means, and maybe not top 4. I mean, what's that sport for you?
It's hockey. It's hockey. It looks like a good time. It looks like a good time on TV, man. Like, come on, man. Look at that stuff, man. Look at the crowd. I mean, obviously right now it's the playoffs, so it's the best of the best. But in hockey, you get things that you don't get in the NBA. In the NBA, you're probably never going to get an 8 seed to win the NBA championship, but that happens in hockey all the time. Home ice matters to the next level. Like, it looks like a great time. Maybe one day I'll be able to get a chance to go up to Columbus and go to a hockey game and experience it for myself. But when I tune in to those games on TV, I just can't get into it. But it looks like the people that are there are having a blast. Now, we look at America's pastime, baseball. Even the people that are there don't look like they're having fun. They look like they're out there sweating their butts off. So a sport that I do follow, which is baseball. Well, I follow my team. Let me stop lying. I don't follow everybody else. I follow my team. But I don't get super excited unless it's my team. You throw on a hockey game, I always tune in to try to see if I can get into this because it looks like a good time, but I just can't. I can't. Maybe it's because I didn't grow up playing it. I've never played hockey, not even like the hockey that you do like inside the gym in elementary school and everything like that. We never did that at my school. It was football, basketball, baseball. That is it. That is all.
So it's funny because I, years and years ago, did an interview over a sports station in Nashville. And it was one of those things where one of the requirements for that job, and, we were talking, we were working out some details and stuff. And I was pretty jacked about the opportunity to potentially work in Nashville and do a show in Nashville. But straight up, I said, okay, the content pie, where are we? How much of that do I need to direct towards hockey? Because I was just very blunt in the interview. I don't like hockey. I can try to get into it if it means getting this job, but I can't promise that I'm going to be rah hockey guy.
Right.
And they just said, this probably isn't the job for you then. I said, okay, that's fine. And I'm like, but I've had people say, well, I bet you wish you liked hockey now, don't you? I'm like, no, not really. I'm not losing sleep at night. I'm very happy with where I'm at. Nashville would have been a great place to work. Don't get me wrong, but like, let's be clear. One reason why I also don't talk hockey on the show is because my least favorite radio host is the guy that doesn't know what he's talking about. And I'm not saying I'm the most knowledgeable on everything I talk about, but my least favorite is the guy that pretends to know a sport and doesn't, just to try to appease, everybody. I can't do that. I'm not going to do that. I think it would put me in a worse spot to go do that. I can't get into it. I can't get into hockey. But I would be more willing to get into hockey than soccer. Soccer, I laugh at. I find it laughable. I just can't. And people get like the rah soccer people. Oh man, they get so offended. They're I put them up there with Bengals fans as far as the most sensitive fan base out there, if you will. I mean, like hockey people, you know what I like about hockey people? I could sit here and say, I want to get into it. I just can't. You know what hockey people say? Oh, come on, Kenner. You have to come to a game with me sometime and check it out.
Yep. That's exactly what all hockey fans say. Come to a game. You'll love it. Yep. You'll be locked in. I just haven't been to a game, a hockey game. I did want to ask you about Nashville. Like, even with Nashville, obviously they have the Titans. I'm sure they would talk a ton of Memphis Grizzlies because, Memphis is close to there. I mean, it's in the heart of SEC country with the Vols and Vandy and everything. Vandy's in the city. Vandy has a good baseball team, college baseball team. You would have had to talk that much Predators hockey.
Yeah, and even in Columbus, I've talked to those guys over there. I mean, even Bobby, when I've talked with him about the shows in Columbus and stuff, like that flagship. I mean, they kind of have to, but it's kind of a requirement to be able to do that. So.
I never thought that Nashville would be that big of a hockey town. I mean,
buddy, he said he worked there. He said that place, it's insane. And by the way, like that's a fan, but I watch Blue Jackets fans, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
And I know there's something there.
Yes.
It's just I can't get into it.
We got to go to a game then.
Yeah. So my point is soccer people getting on to me about our last segment.
Our last segment or your last segment?
Well, you're guilty by association.
I didn't say a word.
Soccer fans piss me off because, like I said, hockey fans, I love you guys to death because I'm honest with you. And then people get mad. How come you don't talk hockey? Because I don't know hockey. I'm just honest. Most hosts will try to, they'll just rather just say, well, they'll just, I don't know, they'll try to tiptoe around it or they'll BS you. I'm not going to BS you. I don't know crap about hockey. I couldn't do a legitimate hockey segment, but I'm about to give you guys your flowers and say, of all the fan bases of sports that I don't follow, I love hockey fans the most because you guys you don't treat me like crap about it. You guys say, man, I get that, but you got to go to a game. You got to come with me to a game sometime. We'll go to a game sometime, and then you'll see how you feel. I respect that. That's pretty damn cool. You know who's not cool? Soccer fans. Oh, Kenner talking crap about soccer. One idiot. That's it. You're not gonna listen to a show because I won't talk soccer. Even though, name me a show that does. Name me a show that does. How much soccer in Cincinnati with FC Cincinnati do they talk? That's, by the way, not a paid promotional segment. By the way, can you go? I'd love to find out. I'm sure there's a more passionate pocket of Crew fans in Columbus, by the way. I will give them that. But those fans annoy me too. Oh, you talk Ohio State for hours, but you won't talk Crew? Absolutely. I don't know what you want me to say. I mean, what up? My buddy Nate Adams, who he says from living in Nashville, it's a hockey town.
Really?
That's what I was referring to. Yeah.
Really? Mm-hmm. Never knew that.
So, I was excited about the prospect of working in Nashville NFL.
Yeah.
At the Titans. I could pretend to I've been a fan of Baker Mayfield for 2 years. I can get down with Tannehill if I have to. I'd get down with Ryan Tannehill before I would hockey. That's just for now. But yeah, the soccer stuff. No, I thought it was cool, by the way, the FC Cincinnati. I think it's cool that there's a pro team there.
Right.
It's badass that the Crew were able to stay in Columbus after almost being pulled out, even though I think it was just being strong-armed, threatening to move them to Austin, Texas. But they did get to the new stadium. It's cool. But yeah, soccer fans, you guys, you're sensitive as hell. Instead of just accepting, you do know, just because you like that sport does not mean that it's one of the most popular sports in this country.
Right. It's the number one sport in the world, just not in the United States. I mean, football is king. And for me, it's because I believe these two sports are different, even though they are the same. It's college football, NFL, NBA, college basketball, major fall off, baseball, major fall off, women's tennis, major fall off. I don't watch anything else. I don't watch men's tennis, only watch women's tennis. It's just certain things like that gravitate my interest, and soccer has never been one of those. And it's crazy because my wife, she used to play soccer in high school. And when we met, she was thinking about going out for the Wright State women's soccer team to be a walk-on and everything like that.
Ooh.
My wife.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she was real good.
Oh, my fault, Shayla.
Yeah, you ain't got to apologize to me. It's just not my.
Apologize to you. I apologize to your wife.
So when she gets in the mood to watch a little soccer or whatever, and I have to sit there in the living room and watch her instruct people on what they're doing right and what they're doing wrong, I just find it funny because it's basically I'm watching myself when I'm watching me play football or watch football. You know what I'm saying? It's the vice versa. So hey man, you like it, I love it. That's how I feel. It's just not for me, man. It's just not a sport that I grew up playing, that I understand so much. So soccer fans, it's all good, baby. It's all good.
It's not all good. They drive me nuts. They drive me nuts. When you can act like hockey fans and say, you know what, I get it, you don't like it, but you have to come to a game with me sometime. You know why you can't do that? Because the atmospheres for MLS in this country, it's not that great. So I know people who enjoy going to Crew games, but not once have I said, man, you got to go. The atmosphere's crazy, man. It's so freaking cool. I don't get that from Crew fans. Now, I could be wrong. Okay. But I don't get that in my experiences with the guys I know that go to those Crew games and stuff. Same thing with FC Cincinnati. Now they're no good. So I get that. They're not good. But the point is that my favorite thing about hockey fans is I'm very blunt with them. I'm not a hockey guy. It's a sport that I wish I can get into, but I can't. I've tried, but I've never gone to a hockey. I've never been The Blue Jackets a few years ago before the pandemic, we were going to go do the show out there. What's the Nationwide? We were going to do the show out at Nationwide, and that's something we're going to be doing for this upcoming season for sure. We're going to be giving away a ton of Blue Jackets tickets. We're going to have a ton of Blue Jackets. I'm going to make it my life's goal to become a big Blue Jackets fan by the end of this calendar year. For this upcoming season, I'm going to go to as many games as I can. I'm going to get into the Blue Jackets spirit. I'm going to learn the lingo. All right, I'm going to lose some teeth just to fit in. I'm going to do everything. I'm going to do whatever I can.
Well, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to wait to see who wins the Stanley Cup, and then that'll be my team.
When's the Stanley Cup?
Probably like 2 weeks. It's the Easter and Western Conference final. I mean, shoot, like I remember like Wayne Gretzky playing for the Kings out there in L.A. So when you couldn't get a Raiders starter jacket, you got a Kings starter jacket because they had the same colors and everything like that. I remember playing the video game on Nintendo, Blades of Steel and everything like that. So if hockey is anything like the game, Blades of Steel, sign me up because you used to be able to fight on that game.
So again, my buddy Nate Adams, Nate Dave as we call him, he says from living in Nashville, it's a hockey town. Chris Claiborne
rank them. Rank all the sports down there in Nashville. If hockey's number one, what's number two? It's got to be football, right? I mean,
yeah, you see that they're in some trouble too. Like they want to renovate that stadium, but it would cost like billions of dollars to get that stadium renovated. Like, so they're trying to, they just want to renovate it to enclose it so they can get more so they can get college football playoff game. Like they want to be a destination for that, but like it's going to cost way too much dang money for them.
Man, that city is awesome.
So
it's a nice city, man.
Chris Rayburn says the atmosphere downtown when the Predators plays amazing. The whole strip is alive and rowdy. I left a game and Billy Ray Cyrus was playing in the street.
Wow.
So
I mean, downtown Nashville goes in. When our brother lived down there for like a year or so, we went to visit him in the middle of the summer. It's hot as all get out, so there was no sports going on because it was middle of the summer. But yeah, man, good town.
So Nate Dave goes on. I lived there in 16 and 17 when they were in the Western Conference Finals. Then the finals, the environment was freaking insane. Yeah. So okay, you've sold me. Where's all the soccer defenders at? You know why they don't defend it? Because you're mad and you're throwing a temper tantrum. I just got done saying I don't like hockey. Kev said he can't really get into hockey. He's willing to try. Look at all these hockey people coming up. Yeah, man, it's awesome, man. Let me tell you about my experiences. Let me tell you about, we got to go to a game because hockey fans are cool. Soccer fans, you cry and you run off and you call names and you get all ticked off, and that's fine. That's how I act with everything else in life. But I'm just saying it's not a good quality about me, and it's definitely not a good quality about you.
I got a question for soccer fans. So because there's so many different leagues and everything like that. So with FC Cincinnati, right? And then we got the Columbus Crew. Are they in the same league?
They're MLS. That's all I know.
So
but yeah, MLS.
So
that's all I know.
So do they play each other?
Let's find out. I know they have played one another. But let's find out.
So who's the Kraken? Isn't that a soccer team?
Help us out, folks. Who bought the Kraken? Somebody. I thought that's what you were asking. I thought it was Seattle just got a. Yeah, and I think it's I'm here so I don't get fined. What's his name?
Marchand.
I think he bought them. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
No, Kraken or ice hockey. My bad. My bad.
Oh, that's hockey. Yeah, that's what you're talking about was hockey anyways. But no, I know nothing. Outside of the Crew, by the way, I couldn't tell you one other MLS team outside of the Crew or FC Cincinnati.
Me either.
Why is it FC Cincinnati?
I have no idea.
I don't know either.
Good sports host.
No, I'm being an honest sports host. I'd rather tell you I don't know. The worst are the people that try to pretend.
Posers.
I'm not going to waste time to learn a sport that no one cares about. And maybe it's because I'm salty because I know my family's going to rip me for this or not rip me for this. They make fun of me for this to this day. When I was a kid, every kid plays soccer. It's the sport that you always
now play. The truth is coming out.
But I'm being vulnerable here. I'm going to be honest. You're going to make fun of me. But I can't remember what age I was. But my parents tried to make me play soccer, and I stood in the middle of the field and I screamed bloody murder, and I cried because I wanted my mommy. So I got teased so much my sophomore year. It was way before my sophomore year. But, I've always, I think from a kid, I was telling you, I hate soccer. Not going to get into it. Just saying.
Shame on you.
Is what it is. But yeah, so the segment started out with throwing it out there, folks. What's that one sport that you want to get into you wish you've tried but just can't. Like for me, soccer, I have no interest in even trying to get into it. Hockey, I also don't like, but I want to, if that makes sense. I'm trying to get into. I want to get into it, especially with the Blue Jackets. So what's that sport for you? 518-1410. We're live on Facebook. Jump in the conversation there. I'm curious people's thoughts as far as that's concerned. That sport that you wish you can get into but can't. But 518-1410, that's the number to call and jump in on the conversation. But I will say this, the last thing about Christian Pulisic again, who was upset at the lack of American support in Cincinnati last night in their 3-0 victory over Morocco, again, part of the men's national soccer team. He says, for whatever reason, I'm not super happy with the amount of Americans that were here. However, that works out if I'm being completely honest. For one, good for him for being honest. Completely honest. But I think that calling the Americans out for not supporting that is the problem here, because have you taken a look at, I guess it was $75. That was, it was like an exhibition game. It's not even a real game.
75
or whatever
bucks?
you guys call it. I don't know what soccer is. But, $75 to go to that. Ticket prices through the roof. Gas is at an all-time high, and you're going to call out the fans instead of, you know what fans would start to gravitate towards you more? Defend the fans. Say, not a lot of support here tonight, and why would there be when we're charging $75? We talk about trying to get more support within the United States. Well, let's make our product more accessible. Maybe you should be saying stuff like that instead of making crybaby comments like, I'm a little disappointed with the lack of American support. Where are all the Americans at? Well, we're out spending our money on better things than watching you cry about the American fan base not supporting a sport that no one gives a rip about outside of 7 and 8 year olds. It's doing well until that point. What? We'll be back.
Kenner.
Can you believe Kenner and Kevin talk about this stuff every day? What? Kevin.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash.
Justin, you're awesome, baby.
Right here on 1410 ESPN Radio. ESPN 1410 Wing AM weather.
This afternoon will be partly cloudy, a high near 75. Tonight's also going to be partly cloudy, a low near 55. And tomorrow's going to be clear and sunny, a high near 80. I am Pete Spivak for 1410 ESPN Radio.
Visit Cincinnati and see for yourself why the Queen City is the birthplace of professional baseball. Catch a Reds game at Great American Ballpark and be sure to explore the Reds Hall of Fame and Museum presented by Dinsmore. Thanks to the HCS Foundation, kids 12 and younger receive free admission into the Hall of Fame, where the whole family can enjoy interactive exhibits and thousands of artifacts from over 150 years of Reds baseball. For details and tickets, visit Reds.com.
Hi, Tom Bodette here. Just thinking about how people all talk to cats the same way. That calming voice, those floofers pretend they can't hear, all cute and standoffish. It does get their motors purring, though. Let's see if it sounds like catnip to your ears when I say, pets stay free at Motel 6. The rooms that are more comfy than a box full of yarn. Do you like that, people? I'm Tom Bodette for Motel 6, the proud sponsor of pets, and we'll leave the laser light on for you.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Drop what you're doing right now. The deals at Kohl's are too hot to last. I got my husband a few polos for just $9.99. Found myself a swimsuit for less than $18 and got sandals for my entire family for under $20. You seriously don't want to miss this. So run to your nearest Kohl's, because with more style and more savings, this might just be the best summer yet.
Select styles. Offers end June 5th. Some exclusions apply. See store or Kohl's.com for details.
With prices soaring at the pump, filling up can be stressful. That's why Discover has your back with cashback. Use Discover to earn 5% cash back at gas stations and Target, now through June, on up to $1,500 in purchases when you activate. We know every dollar matters right now, but you can count on us. Get up to $75 cash back this quarter with your Discover It card. Limitations apply. Learn more at discover.com/rewards.
Ready to make your family meal famous? Just stop by Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken for the 16-piece family meal at a great price. You'll get 16 pieces of our classic Famous Recipe Chicken that's fresh, never frozen. It's honey-dipped, hand-breaded, and pressure-cooked to perfection, along with 4 of our large sides and 8 fluffy biscuits. This is the family meal upgraded. Get the meal with the most when you try our 16-piece family meal at a great price. Only at Lee's. Famous for chicken.
Save big on your next lawn and garden project with 11% off everything at Menards. Spruce up your yard this summer with help from the Garden Center at Menards. Colored mulch helps retain moisture in soil and inhibits weed growth, all while helping your landscape look its best. Available in red, brown, or black for just $197 after sale price and 11% off. Good through June 5th. Savings are a mail-in rebate. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
Save big money at Menards.
Let's face it, you all have outdoor home projects to do. Mad River Mulch and Topsoil is here to help as the area's leading provider of processed topsoil, garden mix, animal bedding, and mulch. We cater to the professional landscaper, contractor, and the DIY homeowner. That's you. Buy in bulk, mulch, rock, topsoil, and sand. No matter the size of the project, we can help, and we deliver, often the same day. We also carry firewood, bedding, and fuel pellets. Mad River Mulch and Topsoil, just off I-70 and Route 4 in Springfield. Order online at madrivermulch.com.
Do you know what people see when they Google you? Search engines don't always get it right. And when they're wrong, it's your reputation on the line. So what do you do when you don't agree with your search results? Call Reputation Defender at 800-401-6681. Reputation Defender is one of the most trusted names in online reputation repair. We have over a decade of experience in fixing people's search results, and we can help you too. Using cutting-edge approaches, Reputation Defender pushes unflattering information down to lower pages of your search results, where few people ever look. We also promote the good stuff so that it rises to the top, letting you put your best foot forward. Your good name is too valuable to leave to the whims of a Google algorithm. You owe it to yourself to take control with Reputation Defender. Visit www.reputationdefender.com or call 800-401-6681 for free advice on your situation. That's 800-401-6681.
Getting the perfect bite of a KFC hand-breaded 100% white meat chicken sandwich? That's finger licking good. Order the KFC chicken sandwich in classic or spicy today. Prices and participation may vary.
On Twitter, make sure to give us a follow. Search 1410 Kinner for Justin Kinner on Twitter. That's 1410 KINNER and ESPN Dayton for the station Twitter handle.
The one sport you wish you could get into but just can't. 518-1410. That's the number to call and jump in on the conversation. I'm Justin Kinner. He's Kev Nash. We're live on Facebook. Head to Facebook. Jump in there. It's the Justin Kinner Show on Facebook, so make sure you're in the loop as far as that's concerned. Kev, cue up your camera just a little bit more. Just a little bit. There we go. Now we're off and rolling.
No, that's just bad posture.
But excited to be back with you. My ADD is in full force today, but excited to be hanging out with all of you. So we threw this out there, had a little mini soccer segment a little bit ago, if you will. First of all, I do think it's pretty cool that we are getting those qualifying games or the U.S. men's national team playing anywhere, for one, in the country, yes, but just over down in Cincinnati. One of our listeners brings up a good point, Chris Rayburn. He goes, it wasn't even really promoted that much, was it? I never heard anything about it. In my bubble, no, I don't remember seeing, reading, or hearing anything about it. Does that mean it wasn't promoted?
Right. I'm
not willing to go that far. I'm not going to bash them. Maybe it was. A lot of stuff is done digitally. And it's done, of course, through those like geofencing and done that type of stuff. And guess what? That stuff is done based on people who type and talk and have the interests of that particular content online. Guess what? I don't talk soccer. I don't type about soccer. I don't look anything up on soccer. So I'm probably not getting fed those digital ads. I'm assuming some of you aren't either. But maybe you are a soccer fan, Chris, and not getting it. And that would, be a concern there. So maybe they did. But no, I haven't heard anything about it. I didn't come across anything on it. And if it wasn't for him calling out the lack of American support in last night's game against Morocco, I don't think we would have even be talking about it still. I don't even think I would have realized that it was over in Cincinnati. I think that's really cool, though, to have that, even though I'm not a big soccer guy, to have that opportunity to have that so close by, I think is pretty neat.
What's the vuvuzelas? Isn't that what they use at the World Cup?
The what?
Vuvuzelas? That the little horn thing?
Is that what it is, folks?
I'm almost
in the
positive.
chat. Possibly. But yeah. So it is what it is. But it was the first 4 World Cup warm-up matches in June. Like, these aren't even actually, from what everyone that's messaging me right now saying, yeah, tickets are about $75 to go watch. By the way, you can spend $75. I get mad when the Bengals, and by the way, it's not the Bengals, it's the NFL. I get mad when the NFL charges full price for preseason games. I think that's ridiculous. My favorite game out there, by the way, is the spring game. The spring game is so cool because I think it has absolutely no meaning. I make fun of us media folk when we try to prop up the importance of the spring game and what are we going to learn in the spring game this week? Nothing. The only thing we're going to learn is how crazy the fan base is for filling up the shoe to go watch practice. That's what we learn. About my favorite part about the spring game, and listeners had chimed in on this, about a month or two ago. Tickets are a little hard to come by. They're during the regular season. It's expensive to go get an Ohio State experience, Ohio State football experience. So when you have to only spend $5 to $10 to get spring game tickets, and you get to take in an Ohio State football game technically, and you get to take it in the shoe, and you're with a bunch of rowdy Buckeye fans, and people actually tailgate. That's what's really unique about that. This is the opportunity where you should be putting out little samples of this product, if you will. Fill up those stadiums, put your product in front of fans, and make it a little bit more easily accessible and affordable. But you're taking these exhibition matches, if you will, if that's what they're called. Again, I'm not the most up to date on soccer terminology, but if these are exhibition matches and you're charging $75, Kev, like I don't care if it is the U.S. men's national team. Like, maybe that's what they're basing it off of. Hey, you're watching the U.S. men's national team. I don't care. $75 for an exhibition game. And then you have your players complaining about the lack of support. Sorry, you're getting mad at the wrong people. Get mad at your sport. Get mad at the people in charge. Don't get mad at us, because I'm not going to lie. If I knew about it, knowing that it was the U.S. men's national team there and how rare it is to have that in our country, much less right there just an hour south, I would have been there.
If it was the women's team, you could charge that much because they win.
Oh, yeah.
The dudes team is average
at least
best.
Name you players on the women's team. I don't know who the hell any of these dudes are.
The last dude on the soccer team I can remember it, Freddie Adu. Like, that's the last dude I can remember.
Like, how do you do? I don't know who you are either. So, but yes, I know what you're saying. Like, yeah. But so we asked, what's that one sport you wish you could get into but just can't? I say I'm not a soccer guy. I have no interest in even trying to get into soccer. Hockey's a little different. From a selfish perspective, there's a lot of markets that you can work in that have pro hockey that, I'm like, if I have to, ever work in a bigger city, I'm not going to be able to crack the mic and be able to have a legitimate. I mean, who are the Bengals of hockey? Who is the team of hockey that I would just, what's that fan base for hockey that would just hate Kinner because he's always ribbing their team? Who would that be?
So we can play this game. The cities Kinner can't work in. You wouldn't be able to work in Boston. You wouldn't be able to work in Detroit. You wouldn't be able to work in Chicago. You probably wouldn't be able to work in Denver. It's a lot of cool cities off the list, man.
I'll go to Cleveland.
Yeah. No hockey team there. Roller derby teams.
Everyone dreams of going to Cleveland.
Born and raised, baby.
I used to say Cincinnati. I would love to, go to Cincinnati one time, right? But like, you know what? Bengals fans ain't having it. They ain't going to have
You wouldn't be able to work in Pittsburgh. They're huge. You definitely wouldn't be able to work in New York, New Jersey.
So Damon Hahn says, the Dayton Convention Center used to have a semi-pro indoor soccer league. I went about 30 years ago. Tons of fun. Still can't get into soccer. And yeah, there's a lot of soccer opportunities out there. There's semi-pro leagues here in town, but like those don't generate you know what I mean? Like they say, if you build it, they will come. That's a dumb saying. That is not always true. If you build something cool, they will come, but you can't just build something and expect them to come. That's all. So, Forrest says Red Wings fans would dislike Kinner. All right, that's fair. Why though? Would that be the fan base I'd go after? Are they the Bengals of NHL?
Red Wings got a lot of Stanley Cup trophies.
Yeah, they're not the Bengals of the NFL or the NHL. So no, that's a bad example. Forrest, you got to get better examples. I need a why. I mean, the Red Wings have a championship history. I need to know if I was to go talk sports in a city that had an NHL
They got
team.
11 of them things.
Yeah. Aye.
Goodness gracious.
So, yeah. But Ryan Go Blue on YouTube says Formula One racing for me, the time it airs is way too early.
What's the racetrack out in Xenia?
Killcare.
Yes, Killcare. Our buddy used to work here with us, BC. He's huge into racing and everything.
He used to host the racing show here on Wing.
So
did I, but then they realized you don't know racing. I'm like, I told you I did it. You just made me do it.
So one day he talked me into going out to a race with him. I had a blast, man.
Did you?
My ears were ringing for like about 3 days, but I still had a good time. So that was something I would like to do. I don't necessarily believe getting into it, like spending a Saturday watching cars going around in a circle, but like actually going to an event, I could do that.
Really?
They didn't took down those good old flags, thank goodness.
Okay, so those races too are pretty interesting. Like I can't get into that either.
It's fun.
But is it one of those you have to go
Yes.
to be there, kind of like hockey?
Yes.
I feel like if I say you got to go to soccer, I can't. I can't. Soccer's just no. I'm willing to give hockey and NASCAR a shot, but hockey or soccer, no thanks. Can't do it. Josh Maloney says on Facebook, I played indoor soccer for a few years when I was younger. Wall checks were pretty cool like hockey.
There you go.
Blake Longfellow Deeds. I'm gonna call you Longfellow Deeds, Blake. He says, yes. Oh, look, I think he has all the soccer stuff all over him. He says, yes, FC Cincinnati and Columbus plays MLS, their rivals.
Okay.
As they should.
Absolutely.
So, Blake, are you going to be the first soccer fan I like? You didn't answer that in a very aggressive tone, so you might be the first soccer fan. He has the FC Cincinnati stuff all over him. The orange and the blue. By the way, their colors are pretty cool. I can get down with that.
Who's the best player on FC Cincinnati?
Do they have players on FC Cincinnati? Longfellow Deeds. Who are some of the players on an FC Cincinnati? Give the guys, the main ones. Who's the Joe Burrow of FC Cincinnati?
It's only one Joe Burrows.
Joe Burrows, like Kroger's.
Targets.
You know how many people I hear say, oh, yeah, that Joe Burrows guy is pretty good. The Bosas. Was it the Bosa brothers? The Joey Bosas? What was it, the Bosa brothers? Actually, people just used to get Joey and Nick mixed up all the time. But yeah, people would say the Krogers. Someone said something today that they put an S at the end that didn't belong there, and it drove me nuts. But there we go. But yes, Burrows.
Both of them. His dad and his brother. And
the Bengals are going to burrow themselves at the bottom of the AFC North this year.
You better hope so.
I'm not. Look, not going there. It is what it is. But 518-1410, 518-1410. Kev, who we got?
We have, I forgot.
Jesse.
There you go.
How are you, Jesse?
Hey, what's going on, fellas? How you doing?
Not too bad. Are you a soccer fan, Jesse?
No, I will tell Kev that thing is called a vuvuzela. My son had one for about 3 days.
They're like the horn, right? They're like the horn.
Yes, it's extremely loud. It's not very good. You live in the Plats and Kettering.
You said 3 days. Did you give it up? Did you make him give it up? Is that what you're saying?
Or it accidentally broke?
No, yeah, I broke it right in front of him. That's all I was tired of. Yeah, but as always, I agree with everything Ken is saying. You know how I am. But I got into soccer one World Cup. I was between marriages. I was in a very bad place, so don't judge me. But I just couldn't do it again. Hockey,
marriage or the soccer?
Yeah, kind of all of it. Yeah, it's a blanket statement there. But hockey, I kind of liked about a few years ago. The Jackets had made a little run in the playoffs.
Yep.
Me and my wife got married in Nashville and went to a Predators game, and it was a blast. We were overly intoxicated, but it was a blast.
Is it all about a winner though? Like if your team from your local area is winning, like I think everybody becomes a fan when you're winning, but it's hard to get on board with a team that isn't winning. Like the Las Vegas Knights, like the first year that they were there, like they were playing for it all. They were playing for the Stanley Cup final. So now they have a ton of fans because they came in and hit the ground running and went to the Stanley Cup final. So now you have a ton of fans.
I think that's absolutely right. If the Blue Jackets don't make the playoffs, I have no clue what's going on. If I see them make the playoffs as an 8 seed, I get a little interested, and then they knock off somebody, and then I'm like, oh, okay, well, I want to watch the second round. And And when you're talking about racing a little bit, I think racing fans are like hockey fans. I'm actually a race car driver. I've raced at Kilcare. But
really?
we embrace fans. Yeah. We embrace fans that don't like it. Like, we get why you don't like it, but come to the race, you're going to have a good time. I mean, it's kind of like hockey fans.
There you go. Jesse, I learned more about you in the last 2 minutes. I mean, learned that you've been married twice. You're a divorcee. That you tried to get in to soccer, then you weren't into soccer. You almost got into hockey a little bit ago. I didn't know that you actually raced. That's pretty dang cool. When did you get into that?
Yeah. My dad was a race car driver. My uncles, my cousins, my grandma even raced. It's just a family tradition.
Is it expensive to be a driver?
Yes. Yes. Result of my first divorce would be the reason.
That was before gas prices are what they are now.
yeah, exactly. But no, yes, it's very expensive. But it's a lot of fun, and the people they embrace everybody. Like, I understand what Kev was talking about with the flag. They don't really mean that. It's just they embrace anybody. If you want to come see a race, they'll sit there and talk to you for an hour about what's going on if you don't know anything.
Fair enough. All right, Jesse, good stuff. Appreciate you.
Appreciate you, bud.
See, here's why I need to get into hockey, Kev. Look at this. Look at this jersey right here.
I know.
Look at this. It has my name on it and everything. The Blue Jackets are badass. Bob and Gallagher and company, Dylan Trier and them. They sent me this Blue Jackets. Hold on. What's it called? It's called a sweater.
Yes.
So you don't call it a sweater, folks. Call it a jersey. You know what's it? Man, I can't wait to get the new latest sweater. No one who stop. See, this is why it can't. No, it's not a sweater. It's a jersey. It's not. I'm never going to call it a sweater. Sweater's something you wear when you're cold.
Well, they play on ice.
When you're old. Name a 30-year-old or a 20-year-old that says, "Oh man, I can't wait to go get my new sweater this weekend." Nobody.
Fashion is confidence, Kenner. I've told you that a million times.
I'm 5'5". I'm fat. I'm not going to say, "Hey, Nora, I'm going to go."
So there's no suave fat guys out there.
I'm going to go.
So yes.
Who?
I don't know. I'm just saying it has to be.
You can't. It
has to be. I mean, there's a billion people in the world. It has
you don't
to be
even
a
get
smooth,
mannequins. When's the last 5'5" chubby mannequin at a store?
Well, I didn't say chubby and 5'5". I've said chubby, just smooth guy. I mean, think about it. Ruben Studdard. He was a big guy. He was suave. Biggie Smalls, Notorious B.I.G. He was smooth. Wore Coogee sweaters.
Fat people with no talent.
Regular people.
Regular fat people.
Regular
have
people.
No talent.
Sorry. I'm sure there has to be somebody out there. Has to be. If you are, no.
Damon Hahn says that he goes, "I'm a pretty fly fat guy."
There you go. Fashion's a confidence, man.
But either way, this jersey, not a sweater, but this jersey.
Shoulder front.
Look at that little Columbus Blue Jackets action. There you go.
I like it. I want
a white one too.
Okay.
I want to mix it up. I want to have a strong sweater game at Nationwide next year. Nationwide is on your side. We'll be back. More of the Justin Kinder Show with Kev Nash next. For what? NASCAR?
The Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Brad Mays with Home Experts Realty. Weekdays at 3 p.m. on 1410 ESPN Radio.
This is Matt Crowder live at the gas station on 41st Street, reporting on those skyrocketing gas prices. Excuse me, miss, are you buying less gas now because of the high prices?
Oh, I never pay full price for gas anymore. I just use the free Upside app that pays you cash back for every gallon of gas you buy.
Wait a minute, are you saying you actually get paid cash when you buy gas with the Upside app?
Yes, I get real cash back every time I buy gas.
Well, does that actually add up to anything?
I've made around $200.
Wow, well, there you have it. Stop paying full price for gas. Download the free Upside app and get real cash back every time you buy gas. This is Matt Crowder Radio News Network. Download the free Upside app now to earn real cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code PATH for a $5 bonus on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank, to PayPal, or an e-gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code PATH for a $5 bonus on your first tank. That's code PATH.
If you need new roofing, siding or gutters, skylights or patio enclosures, if you're a homeowner or business and need someone you can trust, don't take a chance. Enhance with Lance. Lance Roofing and Siding in Fairborn has been satisfying customers since 1993 and hold an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau. Lance Roofing and Siding, 8460 Dayton Springfield Road in Fairborn. Call for a free estimate at 864-2722. That's 864-2722 or online at lanceroofing.com.
The DEA says Dayton is one of the nation's hardest hit places when it comes to overdoses and drug-related violent crime. News Center 7 is talking with agents to give you an inside look at the new operation designed to save lives. Today on News Center 7, beginning at 5.
Carrie Underwood, Thomas Rhett, Maren Morris on the next Entertainment Tonight. We're backstage for the iHeart Country Festival.
Every single act is at the top of their game.
Next ET, tonight at 7:30 on Channel 7.
Whether you're working in an office or remote, Staples has your tech.
New AirPods so I can turn up the music and tune out distractions.
Staples has your tech.
A Wi-Fi extender for faster downloads?
A portable keyboard so I can work from anywhere.
Staples has you covered with tech solutions and accessories, from the latest laptops to networking solutions. And now, Apple AirPods Pro are just $189. You save $60. The latest tech solutions are at Staples, the working and learning store. N64 in-store only, limit 2 while supplies last.
Hey, here to tell you about my friends at Cordell Transportation. They're now hiring Class A CDL drivers and offering a $5,000 sign-on bonus. That's right, a $5,000 sign-on bonus. Home daily, dedicated lanes, and no-touch freight. Brand new equipment as well. Medical, dental, vision, and company-paid life insurance. Call Cody right now. Apply online at CordellTransportation.com. Cordell Transportation, driven to succeed.
At Family Dollar, we know you want more to enjoy your summer. Delight your family with our great assortment of ice cream and frozen treats. Family Dollar, helping you do more.
O'Reilly. Restore shine and protect your interior with Armor All cleaning and protectant wipes at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Right now, buy 2 canisters of Armor All wipes and get 1 free. Plus, you'll earn double O Rewards points. Clean, shine, and protect with Armor All wipes available at your local O'Reilly Auto Parts or shop online at O'ReillyAuto.com.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Ray Magliozzi here for eBay Motors. You're driving along and some nimrod cuts you off. You hit the horn. Jeez, it sounds like a goose in distress. Time to head over to eBay Motors. They have horns for every make and model, not to mention horn pads, steering wheels, wiring, and more. 122 million parts. You can even go for an upgrade. Looks like Mr. Cutoff Man needs a new seat cover. Try eBay Motors, pal. Get the right parts at the right prices. eBay Motors. Let's ride.
Whether you're at home, at work, or in your car, tune in to ESPN 1410 Wing AM or stream us live at wingam.com.
Next week, Kev, we're going to be doing our AFC North draft.
Yes, sir.
Kev and I are going to do an exclusive draft using only AFC North players. We got to come up with some kind of competition to figure out who's going to get the first pick. And
paper, rock, scissors.
Rock, paper, scissors. 1-on-1.
1-on-1. We hooping?
Something.
All right.
Bowling. Something.
Well, let's be clear. If we bowl, you're going to win that. If we golf, you're going to win that. What else am I terrible at? Everything else I'm solid at.
Fair enough. Oh man, my sweater's laying on the ground over here. I gotta get that hung back up over there. But yes, next week Kevin and I will be doing our AFC North draft. So pretty excited. This is what you get in NFL off season. So there you go. Rock, paper, scissors. We'll have to build up the build. We'll have the big rock, paper, scissors contest to see who's going to get the first pick in the 2022 Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash AFC North mock draft.
Sponsored by
no one. No one. But, is what it is. So, by the way, Bill Barnwell with ESPN put out an article today, just kind of caught my attention a little bit. He kind of ranked the best and worst NFL off seasons. And now we've done this in the past as far as like who had the best off season as far as free agents are concerned, who had the best off season as far as who has the best draft. But he kind of combined them a little bit. And I'm only interested in this just because of every year you go into an offseason with the goal being to put your team in a position to win a national, like it's college, to win a championship, to win a Super Bowl, or to put yourself in position to be in contention for a Super Bowl for many, many years. That should always be your goal. That should be the bar as far as how you are dictating who has a successful offseason and who does not. You either take a step forward towards having a chance to win a Super Bowl, or you stand still, or you take a step back. Rarely do you stand still. You either get better or you get worse. Rarely do you see teams that just kind of run in place a little bit. Hell, I mean, if you look at even the Rams, who didn't do much this offseason. I mean, they technically lost a guy. You lose your big linebacker, but then they go and they get Allen Robinson. So they didn't run in place. They could have said, you know what, we're gonna run it back. We're gonna run it back. But no, they go and get Allen Robinson. You should always be doing your best to put yourself in position moving forward to win a Super Bowl or have a shot. So Bill Barnwell, Kev, who do you think he said had the best offseason? Combining the draft, combining free agency.
Draft.
This is an interesting number one and even number two. And I mean, you keep going down the list and 3 and 4 and 5. I mean, it is mind boggling to me. But AFC North fans, Browns, Bengals fans, you're going to be very interested in the first AFC North team that pops up on this, but it's not the number one team on his list.
So I have no idea who's number one, but if I can finagle this. The Bengals have to be in the top 5, right?
They are not.
They are not in the top 5.
Which is wrong. I believe that they should be, and that's coming from the number one Bengals hater in the country, me. But how they're not in the top 5 is absolutely ridiculous. The number one team, it's an AFC team. That's okay. Bill Barnwell.
It's the Raiders then.
The team that he believes had the best offseason over any other team is this team.
Raiders.
Team. No.
Okay.
They're not even in the top 5, which is also ridiculous. You were close, though, with the Raiders.
Broncos?
Yes.
I'm a Russ guy, but who else did they add?
So he said, what went right, according to Bill Barnwell? After watching their playoff hopes collapse once Teddy Bridgewater went down and injured in December, the Broncos had seen enough. But the Seahawks decided to move on from Russell Wilson. General Manager George Payton sent a significant package to Seattle. Yeah, we know this. The Broncos will be thinner after sending 2 first-round picks, 2 second-round picks, but Wilson gives them a bona fide superstar at the most important position in sports. It's one of the biggest upgrades any team made at any position this offseason. That's to you, but see, this is where I get mad at people do stuff like this because they move the goalpost. Tell me how the Browns didn't do that exact thing. Tell me that the Browns didn't do exactly what the Broncos just did. And honestly, the Browns gave up a decent amount, but they didn't have to give up any talent. And as far as setting them up to win right away, I think that you can't. I'm fine with the Broncos being there, but you have to have a better reason than, well, they lost an absolute ton and they're much thinner right now, but they got the number one position, which is quarterback. But then ignore the Browns, who had a legitimate number one wide receiver. They bring back Jadeveon Clowney. You fine tune everything on the offensive line. You had a very good draft. I mean, so anyways, I'm not being a Browns homer. I'm just saying you can't use that justification for the Broncos and then not even have the Browns anywhere close. That's ridiculous.
So where are the Browns?
We'll get to that in a moment. But number 2.
Okay.
Number 2 on this list is the Philadelphia Eagles. Philadelphia Eagles. Now they're doing this thing where they're just loading up on receivers, right?
Right.
So he says, what went right? They are blessed with cap space and draft assets after trading Carson Wentz and moving down in the 21 draft. So the Eagles signed star edge rusher Hassan Reddick. All right. They brought back Derek Barnett, and they also convinced Fletcher Cox to take a pay cut. When the Giants were unable to find a trade partner for James Bradbury, Philadelphia swooped and signed the talented cornerback to a 1-year, $7.5 million deal. Look, I don't know. The Eagles number 2, they had a very good offseason, but number 2, the second best offseason in the NFL. I'd put the Browns and the Bengals ahead of the Eagles. I'd put the Browns and the Bengals ahead of the Broncos. I'm not saying that the Browns and Bengals had the best offseasons, but I'm more so telling you I don't think that the Broncos and the Eagles had the 2 best offseasons by any means.
Yeah. So for argument's sake, let me jump on the other side for argument's sake. Are they saying like, all right, man, in the Bengals case, they had more opportunities to fix what was wrong with their team because obviously they had the playmakers in place with their running backs and wide receivers. Obviously they have the quarterback in place. The only glaring need that they had was the offensive line. Because I would argue the amount of improvement that they made to the offensive line is just as important as the Broncos getting Russell as their quarterback. Yeah, that's what I would say.
Yeah, I mean, and I think that's in the mindset of those. Like, I get what people are saying is, man, look what Joe Burrow did getting sacked 70 times last year. Imagine what he's going to do with more time. I think obviously he's going to improve a lot of areas having more time to throw. But, I mean, based on the way you guys are talking is that Joe Burrow is all of a sudden going to go from a guy almost having 3 1,000-yard wide receivers to having 3 2,000-yard wide receivers. Joe Burrow is going to throw for 7,000 yards now because he has time to throw. I think it's going to have a significant impact on that team, but I think it's going to have more of a significant impact on the run game than it is the pass game. There'll be a better passing team, but I think a lot of that's going to have to do with, yes, having more time to throw, but Jamar Chase being second year in the league. This will be the 3rd year for T. Higgins. You know, obviously having a established wide receiver in Boyd, and then Joe Mixon. I think it's the Joe that benefits most from this offensive line improvement. It's Mixon more than Burrow from that standpoint. But, you know, I think that the Bengals left a lot of meat on the bone too. They didn't add any depth at any key position. And obviously maybe that, you know what, maybe I can see why the Bengals aren't. You didn't add any depth and now you're without one of your top defensive players, and Jesse Bates sitting out and is probably not going to be there when training camp starts. There's always reasons you can move these teams around. I guess I just have a problem with the Eagles being there. I'm like, they had a good offseason, but number 2,
yeah,
is the Chargers at number 3.
I can see that.
And again, I mean, when you look at the fact that they just were able to add Khalil Mack, you know, all they had to do was trade a 2nd-round pick to him to get Khalil Mack. And some people say that was too high. How is that too high? Name a player in the 2nd round of the draft that is going to provide you more impact right away this upcoming season and even the following year than Khalil Mack, especially when you have Joey Bosa.
Right.
I don't mind that. Look, I think that the Chargers, I love what they have offensively already. They already had one of the top offensive line. They have a good run game, and the running back was hurt pretty much all of last year. You have a great passing offense. I think what got in their way more than anything is the coaching, the approach of the coaching staff. That's going to be their
go for
downfall. But now you don't just have one dynamic pass rusher, you have 2.
Yeah.
You already have great corners. You have good linebacker play. Now you have this. I think the Chargers is one of the more better, well-rounded teams in the NFL. But you know, when we get to see that full impact of them again, they're playing in the toughest division in football. It's tougher than the AFC North. AFC North is the 2nd toughest division in football. But that West, nothing comes close to that. That's pretty impressive. Continue to go down the list. The Tampa Bay Bucks come in at number 4. Interesting. I mean, I guess you went from a team that was rebuilding to back to being a Super Bowl contender within a snap of a finger. So interesting that they have them there as that. You know, Tom Brady dipped his toes into the waters of retirement, then changed his mind. The Buccaneers team that had been staring down a future with Kyle Trask as its quarterback had to be thrilled when Tom Brady announced that he's coming back, of course. You know, they get Ryan Jensen to re-sign with the team, of course. So if you're just talking about this upcoming season, then yes, I guess, I mean, that was a heck of an off season as you bid farewell to your quarterback and then tell him welcome back all within a couple-month period. The Baltimore Ravens come in at number 5. Let me ask you this. The Ravens had a very sneaky offseason. I'll give them that. But at the same time, did the Ravens improve their team more than the Bengals? No, they did not. Did the Ravens improve their team more than the Browns? No, they did not. And I say that mainly because the most important position on the field was addressed. You went from a top 20 quarterback to a top 5 quarterback. There is nothing that the Ravens did that was going to have the same impact for them this upcoming season than what the Browns did. And I would put that the Bengals offensive line, jumping on that, improving that, will have just as much of an impact as what Deshaun Watson will have in Cleveland if he's able to play than what Baltimore did. But Baltimore coming in at number 5 on this list, thumbs up, thumbs down.
I'm not sure what they did free agency wise. I don't remember them signing anybody.
They signed Marcus Williams.
Okay.
Which that kind of shores up the last line of defense and that secondary, of course. Williams Dale is really a 3-year, $44 million contract, but it's for a talented player entering the prime of his career. The Ravens also made impressive moves in the lower tax brackets, if you will. They brought in tackle Morgan Moses.
Right.
If I'm saying his name right. And then, of course, veteran defensive lineman Calais Campbell came back on what amounts to a 1-year, $6 million deal. Nose tackle Michael Pierce returned to the organization. Of course, after all good moves, but moves that you have to put them at the number 5 team as far as the most impressive off seasons. They lose one of their Marquise Brown. You can't have Baltimore at number 5. I'm sorry. You could say they had a good off season and maybe made some smart moves to set themselves up to get this Lamar deal done money wise, but to sit there and say they are at number 5 when you don't even know if your QB going to play this year because right now it's just all silent. I can't put them at number 5.
5 is high, but I can't put a team that high at 5 that I like their draft more than I like what they did at free agency. I know they signed some of their veterans and everything like that. If old boy from Green Bay, if he would have stayed signed with Baltimore, I could see that. The pass rusher from Green Bay, because he had signed, or it was allegedly he was about to sign, and then he ultimately didn't go to Baltimore and everything like that. I could see that. But I love I love the draft moves that they did. I'm just not in love with their free agent moves.
Bengals come in at 11. There's not 10 teams that had a better offseason than the Cincinnati Bengals. I call BS on that big time. They have the Giants and the Jets having better off seasons than the Bengals. They have the Packers having a better off season than the Bengals. Now you could say, well, it's a great off season because they got Aaron Rodgers to come back when they did not expect that. But again, okay, they bring back Aaron Rodgers, and I still think the Bengals are a better team than the Packers at this point. So I don't get that. I'm not a big fan of this list. If you can't tell, again, it's his list. That's fine, whatever. But at the same time, the Bengals coming in at number 11 is ridiculous. I don't even know where the Browns come in yet. I haven't scrolled down that far. But the Bengals coming in at number 11 when a quarterback that was sacked 70 times and just needed one more second to throw to potentially win the Super Bowl, and then they go and don't just get one offensive lineman, but 3 legitimate, including arguably one of the best ones that was available in the market, and got him at a team-friendly deal on top of it. And with Collins, I'm sorry, I'm pissed off at this guy for making me defend the Cincinnati Bengals. The Bengals should not be number 11 on this list. I think they should be in the top 3 just because of the fact that what they did at the offensive line now pretty much puts them back in that Super Bowl conversation, which is pretty interesting when you think about it, because this is a team a year ago that no one expected to make the playoffs. Now they signed 3 offensive linemen, and now everyone, Bengals fans especially, think they're going to be right back in the Super Bowl picture, which when you have Joe Burrow, that's obvious. Number 11, Kev, your thoughts?
It's a little low for my taste. Maybe it's because we follow the team here a lot. We're locked into every move that they make and everything like that. But that seems too low for me. Too low. I mean, like we talked about before, like they're handling their needs. Their need was offensive line. And like they said, when they made the pickup of the Cowboys offensive tackle, like, look, man, you're getting a mean dude.
Yep.
He got a ton of penalties protecting his quarterback. Those are the type of penalties coaches don't mind. So if he gets a couple of those this season for protecting Joe Burrow, guess what? Zach Taylor's not going to say nothing, because guess what? He's protecting the QB. So they got a mean dude at offensive tackle, and it's going to pay dividends. And that's just like one guy. And they're replacing backups. They had backups playing starter roles in the Super Bowl, and people are wondering why they lost, because they had backup caliber players playing at the Super Bowl. Now they got starters at those spots. They're leveled up, and that's all you really want.
Yeah, the thing is, though, again, the Bengals are still viewed by the majority as a Cinderella team. Think about this with March Madness. How many teams make deep runs into the NCAA tournament? We don't head into the next season and say, man, I think we underestimated them last year. There's always just those feel-good teams in the playoffs, and I think that was the Cincinnati Bengals. But I do believe there's more talent there than I don't think it's fair to give them that Cinderella team rub. But I do think that they were, again, it's all about who's hot at the right time. The Bengals were playing their best football at the end of the season when a lot of teams weren't. Are they the best team in the NFL last year? No. but they were playing their best football at the end of the year, and that's all you can ask for. But I think that's why people are skeptical to kind of give them any more credit than what they're getting. So he says, what went wrong? He goes, are we sure that the Bengals did enough to fix their O-line? Collins missed all of the 20 season with a hip injury. Valid. Was suspended for the first 5 games of 21 and didn't look like his usual self after returning. Also valid. Karras is a solid player, but he has profiled better as a utility lineman in Miami in New England than he has as a full-time starter. Also valid. All right. Jackson Carman wasn't able to win a starting job a year ago when Cincinnati's guards were among the worst in the league. The Bengals are better up front than they were on paper last season, but there's a decent chance that we'll be sitting here next February expecting them to invest even further up front.
On paper, one of my favorite lines.
So, again, when you talk about the bar being so low as far as expectations for Bengals offensive line, I guess I see what he's saying. What he's basically saying is, hey, yes, these guys are all much better than what they had a year ago at this time, but it's not like you got 3 elite dudes.
Right.
And La'el Collins is the biggest name of all of them, but keep in mind, he missed all of 20, was suspended, and when he came back last year, really wasn't his same self. I don't want to invest too much into that, but I do see those areas of concern. At least he's given some justification to it, and they did not make any more key additions. Who's that other addition they made this offseason that you're like, oh, man, that guy's going to make a difference? They're kind of rolling it back. They brought Eli Apple back, which I wasn't against, but how do they get better? Where else do they get better? I don't think they got better anywhere else.
They didn't bring Riley Reef back either, right?
No. So they did not get better anywhere else, Kev. So I could see why, but people are saying, man, they got to the Super Bowl last year with all those holes. I get that, but you really want to take your chance in doing that again next year? Like, you should have added to it. That's all I'm trying to say.
For me,
so I could see his justification to a certain extent.
For me, with the offensive line and everything like that, there's a cap on how many passing yards Joe Burrow is going to throw for. Just because he has a good offensive line this year doesn't mean like, oh, man, this means you have to throw for 7,000 yards and
double his
77 touchdowns. There's a cap. But what you're expecting from an improved offensive line is less 3 and outs. Obviously, less slacks. You're going to expect drives instead of home run plays and everything like that. You want a better conversion rate on third downs. You want more time of possession and everything like that. You're expecting a more efficient offense because your quarterback and your offensive playmakers have more time to do those said things. So I wouldn't be out here at Vegas banking on like, oh man, Joe Burrow about to throw for 6,000 passing yards this season and put my house on it. I wouldn't do that if I was you, Bengals fans. I would expect a better proficient offense to be out there and more watchable, because there's a lot of times where the Bengals went 3 and out and they looked great on those 2-minute drives to close the half and close games because, all right, man, we're in a hurry up offense. We're about to go out there at NASCAR pace. But now you're going to be able to slow the game down because, all right, hey, these guys can block. I can stand back here, go through my reads. You're going to have a better offense in that aspect.
The Cleveland Browns, Kev. So the Bengals are at 11. Where do you think the Browns fell to?
Ooh, I'm going to say like about 15, 16.
15 on the nose.
That's what I do.
I think the Browns have had a fantastic offseason. I don't know how you can't say they haven't. You lost OBJ in the middle of last season. Okay, that didn't work. Jarvis moved on. You could argue that you got the best of Jarvis. How many more great years does Jarvis have? I'm not saying he's going to fall off the cliff, but, to not move on, marry him long term, I think was kind of smart, especially with look at the teams around the league, younger, faster wide receivers. I want Jarvis on the Browns. I was bummed to see him go, but to sit here and act like that was a massive loss, it was more of a locker room loss than it was an on-field loss, if you will. But I think other guys will step up. I mean, so I say all this. He goes, what went right for the Browns? Thought Cleveland's decision to move on from Jarvis Landry and use a 5th-round pick to acquire Amari Cooper on a salary dump from the Cowboys was a wise decision, especially even now, considering the wide receiver boom that just happened. Cooper looked expensive for the Browns coming over. Now it's a hell of a deal. Mm-hmm. The gap between the stats of those other receivers and Hill and Adams and others, those stats are better than what they have in Amari Cooper, but the stats aren't that wide to the point to where you're justifying a $10 million difference between him and Adams and some of the others. So the Browns have a hell of a deal. And you can argue that for the first time, the Browns have a number 1 wide receiver. OBJ was supposed to be the number 1 wide receiver. He was not the number 1 wide receiver. For the first time, they have a number 1 wide receiver, and they have a top 5 quarterback. So he's saying all these things about, look what all they did. They get Denzel Ward, the huge major extension. You're taking care of your guys. You bring Jadeveon Clowney back. You brought in the Winovich kid, a very good linebacker, by the way, and there's going to add depth right there. That's a move that I don't think is getting enough attention. I liked him in New England. I hate that he's a Michigan dude, but I think that was one of the more silent gets for the Browns that's not getting enough love, because I think that's huge. And then he got on them for saying outside of that, of adding Cooper and Deshaun Watson, they didn't do anything else. They didn't really have to. Keep in mind this. Kev, a year ago at this time, the Browns had Super Bowl expectations with Baker Mayfield at quarterback. That's how loaded the roster was. And now you have a top 5 quarterback and a true number 1 wide receiver. You still have a top offensive line. You still have Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. You took care of your cornerback, your shutdown corner long term. You still have depth at DB. All right, you have Myles Garrett. You brought Jadeveon Clowney back. You added depth at linebacker. What? Let's just be honest. You're pissed off at the Browns because of the Deshaun Watson situation. And if you just come out and say that, I can respect that. It does make you feel dirty and icky. I get it. But stop being ignorant and stop saying that the Browns had a horrible offseason when they did exactly what the Broncos did. They went out and got a top 5 quarterback and are now sitting at the top as the best offseason of anyone. The Browns had easily top 5 offseason of any team in the NFL. There's only 2 teams that basically did not have a franchise quarterback and now have one and now have a chance to win a Super Bowl for the foreseeable future. That's the Broncos and the Browns. Anything else? If no other team did that, the Bengals possibly did it with upgrading their offensive line. No other team made drastic moves to contend for a Super Bowl the way that the Browns and the Broncos did this past offseason. Any list that doesn't have them up there at the top, it's ridiculous. I don't get it. The Bengals should have been way higher. The Browns definitely should have been way higher. And that's kind of where I'm at with that. If you're going to justify the Broncos having the best offseason because they addressed quarterback and then say that the Browns are at 15 because, well, outside of Amari Cooper and Deshaun Watson, what else did they do? Bite me. That's ridiculous, and even you know it, Kev.
So what I'll say is this is a whole off-season move. And you can't talk Deshaun Watson without talking about the situation. And another one's apparently going to be added, even though we talked about 23 yesterday. Apparently there's going to be a 24th one added today. So you can't talk Deshaun Watson without that. So that's one. Another thing that's hanging over the Browns' head is the fact that it's June and Baker Mayfield is still on the roster. Like, that needs to be taken care of, like, yesterday. Like, just because you got reporters asking current Browns players about Baker Mayfield. They asked David Njoku about Baker Mayfield the day after he just signed a contract extension. They're not asking about his contract. They're asking about the dude that supposedly isn't their quarterback anymore. They asked Myles Garrett about it. They're asking everybody underneath the sun about a guy that's not on the team anymore. What isn't supposed to be on the team anymore? Like, those type of things out there hanging over the team's head, I think those can knock points for you. And we're not even talking about how it could affect the morale of the team and say, look, man, I'm sick of asking or answering these type of questions. Like, can we move on? So, like, if I was a person grading them in their offseason, those would be dings for me.
Well, if we could say that the Packers, with all the drama that they've dealt with over the years, and we can overlook that. I know it's not the same type of drama, but drama is drama. Distractions are distractions. And the Baker Mayfield thing, I have no problem with them sitting on him for right now. You have a guy that could be a top 5 quarterback in the NFC when the timing is right. The Browns aren't just going to let him go, especially when if they needed that money, it's one thing. They have $40 million cap space right now. They got 55. If someone was dumb enough to take off $15 million of Baker, $18 million of Baker's contract, the Browns would have $53 million in cap space as we sit here in June. That's ridiculous. They don't need to move on from him. I mean, they're being asked questions, but you know what? Every single one of them players, they're thrilled that they have Deshaun Watson from a skill set wise at quarterback. The Browns are being smart. The dumbest thing the Browns could do is let go of Baker Mayfield. He comes back healthy, has a 30 touchdown, 8 interception season, leads the team to the playoffs, and in the NFC could find himself in the NFC title game, especially if he ends up with the Saints. The Browns would look really silly if they just let him go for nothing. If they can get anything for him, something for him, that's they know they don't have leverage this moment, but when you have a starting caliber quarterback in the National Football League, I don't care how deep the quarterback position is right now, they have something, and they don't have people say they don't have leverage. They don't have leverage right now, but they also don't have any pressure saying that they have to get rid of them. If it was closer to August, I'd say, yeah, that's kind of becoming a problem. But right now, they're sitting pretty. They have $40 million cap space with his contract on the books. So, who knows?
If I'm Baker Mayfield, I'm about to start making things very uncomfortable for the Cleveland Browns. I might show up in Cleveland.
Oh, I would love that.
See if my
Sports
5 key still works.
Stuff too.
See if my 5 key still work. I'm going to try to make this uncomfortable because you know what? Just because, like you say, you're trying to make it good for the Cleveland Browns, and they're trying to get everything they can get for him. If somebody gets desperate enough and just takes the entire $18 million off their hands, well, that may not be what's best for Baker Mayfield in his career. But what's best for Baker Mayfield in his career to be a free agent. So I'm trying to make things very uncomfortable for the Cleveland Browns. I might show up in Berea and say, hey, I'm ready to play. I'm ready to go through these OTAs. Where the rookies at? Where's the new playbook at? Hey, why is my key not working? I would do it. I would do it. I mean, do it.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash. We'll be back.
Listen, stream, watch. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash right here on Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM.
So many people here are getting real lasting joint pain relief from QC Kinetics.
QC Kinetics has changed my life. I would recommend QC to anybody. The work that QC Kinetics did paid off exponentially.
It brought me back to an effective age of almost in my 20s and 30s.
QC Kinetics uses cutting-edge regenerative medicine, natural biologics from your own body, precision treatments that can restore and repair damaged tissue in your aching joints, with no meds, no steroids, no drugs, and no downtime.
I got a very quick resolution to my pain.
It is a all-natural therapy. You're using you to fix you.
I got my life back. I got my smile back. And best of all, I got my laugh back.
Don't live with that pain anymore. And don't let them tell you surgery is your only option. Learn more about regenerative options from the local medical professionals at QC Kinetics. Call now for your free consultation.
Call QC Kinetics, 937-936-0325. That's 937-936-0325. 937-936-0325.
Listen to this station anytime, anywhere on Odyssey. Odyssey is your new audio home for all the music, news, sports, and podcasts that matter to you. Odyssey. That's AUDACY.
You and your phone have been through a lot this past year. It's been your lifeline to the world. And now some big wireless company is telling you got to buy a new phone from them and sign their contract? They don't control you. With TracFone Wireless, you can keep the phone, number, and network you already have. Already got a 5G phone? Keep that too. Because TracFone runs on America's best networks now with 5G nationwide. Plus, we've got unlimited talk and text smartphone plans starting at just $20. TracFone Wireless. Now you're in control. 5G nationwide access requires a 5G capable device. Actual availability, coverage, and speed may vary.
Staples stores are a new world of possible with innovative tools for small business and remote workers and learners. Explore more at your local Staples store or staplesconnect.com.
At Family Dollar, we know you want more to enjoy your summer. Delight your family with our great assortment of ice cream and frozen treats. Family Dollar, helping you do more.
Perfect air with a personal touch. Get up to $1,000 in rebates on a new Linux system or make no payments for 6 months when you finance a new Linux system for as little as $132 a month. Call William Brockman & Sons Heating and Air Conditioning at 937-222-8638 today to learn more or visit online at DaytonHeatingandCooling.com. Conditions apply. See dealer for details. License number Ohio license number 14911.
It's time to celebrate. On Sunday, June 12th, don't miss the Jewish Cultural Festival, a joyous day of food, drinks, artisan vendors, and fun for all ages at Temple Israel on Riverside Drive. Enjoy traditional food and desserts, nonstop entertainment, kid-friendly activities, and lively all-faith interactive sessions celebrating Jewish culture and traditions. Join the celebration at the Jewish Cultural Festival on Sunday, June 12th. For more information, visit tidayton.org.
Susan, I'm sorry I'm late. Traffic is terrible.
It sure is. But on top of that, gas prices have been skyrocketing. I can't believe how expensive gas has gotten recently.
Prices at the pump are up, but I never pay full price for gas anymore. I just use the free Upside app that pays you cash back for every gallon of gas you buy.
Wait a minute. Are you saying you actually get paid cash when you buy gas with the Upside app?
Yes, I get real cash back every time I buy gas.
Does that actually add up to anything?
I've made around $200.
Wow, that's serious extra cash. I'm downloading the free Upside app now.
Download the free Upside app to earn real cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code SIMPLE for an extra 25 cents per gallon cash back on your first fill up. You can cash out anytime right to your bank account, to PayPal, or any gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code SIMPLE for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code SIMPLE for 25 cents per gallon cash back on your first fill up.
At Family Dollar, we know you want more to enjoy your summer. Delight your family with our great assortment of ice cream and frozen treats. Family Dollar, helping you do more.
All sports, all the time. This is 1410 ESPN Radio.
All right, we are back. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash right here on Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM. We are also Dayton's home of the Cincinnati Reds. And the Reds, of course, despite playing much better baseball, still have one of baseball's worst records. So rather than talk about one of the worst teams in baseball, let's talk about arguably the best college baseball team in the entire state of Ohio, the Wright State Raiders. Joining us now ahead of the NCAA tournament, of their NCAA tournament game this Friday night against Virginia Tech, Raiders head coach Alex Sogard hanging out with us today. Coach, how are you? Appreciate your time today.
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. And well, Coach, it's just another year, another championship, right? Another NCAA tournament appearance. Look, it's obviously something that's become the norm for you guys, and you guys have worked hard to get to the point to where this is the norm and this is the expectation. But no matter how many times you guys do it, no matter how familiar you are with this moment right here, I'm sure it doesn't get old.
Yeah, I'm not sure it's that easy. It definitely doesn't get old. You know, this year I think we had a little more adversity on the field than we've had in years past. Had more struggles, but we started playing our best baseball at the end of the year, and that's what you want to be doing.
Coach, you talked about those struggles that you faced throughout the season, struggles that, your team usually isn't accustomed to experiencing. What do you contribute that to? I mean, if I had to guess, I'm just assuming just with all the turnover. I mean, you guys had such a stacked roster last year due, I'm assuming, to COVID and having a lot of guys be able to get that extra year and having an entire senior class come back. With having all of those upperclassmen last year and then them, of course, graduating and moving on, now you had a lot of younger players, new faces in new places. Did that contribute the most to some of your ups and downs throughout the season, or what would you credit that to?
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. Last year we had kind of a super team in a sense where we were able to return those seniors because of COVID. So it was a very experienced team. And, there's a number of those guys that returned, but they didn't have that on-field experience. They were at the regional last year in Knoxville and but they weren't on the field. And so we definitely had some growing pains early. We had some growing pains on the mound, but we're starting to get it all ironed out. And like I said, I talked to our guys all year and it's like, listen, going through these struggles is going to help us at the end of the year, and playing in these tight games is going to help us. Last year it seemed like in our league, every game was a blowout, and the reality is once you get to the tournament, postseason play, that's not how it's going to be. There's going to be a lot of one-run games that they have to be able to win. And we've had a lot more of those this year, which I think is going to help us in the postseason.
Yeah, you say that now, but when you got all this damn bad weather in the area and you're trying to get a conference tournament in, I mean, could we add a run rule, please? I mean, you could have ended these games like a lot sooner.
Well, you're right. No, I'm glad we were able to get the games in because it didn't look great at first with all the weather. But, I think we were peaking at the right time. We played our three best games likely all year this past weekend. Our last game, the championship game, hands down on both sides of the ball was our best game of the season. So it was a great time to obviously do that on the mound. We only gave up a few hits. We played really good defense. And then obviously offensively, the guys showed up 1 through 9. So it was fun to see because those guys have been, busting their tails all year long. And to see it come together, and on that stage, was pretty neat.
Wright State baseball coach Alex Sogard hanging out with us here this afternoon on the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash. Wright State baseball going to be in action this Friday night as they take on Virginia Tech in the 4-1 matchup. Of course, Wright State the 4 seed, Virginia Tech the 1. Now, there's always going to be nerves involved when you get to this stage, of course, coach, and you're going up against a 1 seed. So, there's going to be that element to it. But I think what helps, and I think you'll attest to this, is you've faced this opponent already. There's some familiarity with this opponent. You're not learning this opponent for the very first time. You're kind of picking up where you left off a few months ago. How much does that dynamic help a young group like yours in preparation for this in what is a very high pressured stakes 4-1? Playing this team already and picking up a win against them has to be good for the morale and confidence booster for your team heading into this matchup on Friday.
There's no doubt. There's no doubt. I mean, I think the way our guys are wired, we think we can beat anybody. That's our mindset. Anytime we step on the field, I don't care if it's the best team in the country. I think we can compete if we show up. But it definitely helps when you've played in the environment, and all these guys have pitched and played on that field, and we've seen, they know us, we know them. It doesn't happen often. We play that tough schedule early for these reasons, but you don't typically end up going to the same place you were at earlier in the year. But no, I think it's a good matchup. They're clearly a very talented team. But I think we can compete with them if we show up that day. And they have a really explosive offense, one of the best offenses in the country. And, I think we could hit with anybody as well. I believe their park plays smaller. I know there was some wind when we were there last time, but it does play smaller. So it'll be a good matchup. It'll be a good matchup.
Coach, I only want to put positive mojo out there for you guys, but I do want to kind of rewind a bit to last year at this time when you were also the 4 seed going up against the 1 seed, Wright State versus Tennessee. And honestly, that was the best baseball game, college baseball game I've ever witnessed. I wish I was there. The atmosphere was unlike anything I've seen. It was like a SEC football atmosphere for that baseball game. It was unreal. I'm not sure what kind of environments you've been a part of throughout your long and successful career, but that had to have been quite the experience. And it was not obviously the result you wanted or all of the Wright State fans wanted, but it is weird when people ask me about that, because I'm like, that result, that stunk, but that might be my favorite baseball game ever. I got goosebumps. I got chills. That was just a different level college baseball game for me that I've witnessed. And I don't know where that ranks for you, but that had to have been quite the experience for you professionally. But I'm obviously the outcome, not what you wanted. But just take us back to last year, some of your takeaways from that now that you've had a full year to digest that, and especially just a few days ahead of taking on Virginia Tech and this year's NCAA tournament.
Yeah, obviously, being on the losing end of it was tough, right? It was just in the way it happened was pretty gut-wrenching. But I think just as a baseball fan, sometimes I step back and just analyze it from a fan's perspective. If you like baseball, to me, that was one of the best games probably all season. And I know in the history of our program, even though we lost the game, it was just like a heavyweight fight, yes, back and forth. And the environment, credit to Tennessee and their fans, the environment was maybe the best environment I've ever seen as a player or coach. And I was fortunate to go to the College World Series with Oregon State, and we won it a couple of years. And then obviously the old Rosenblatt Stadium was incredible. But at a regional, that may have been the most electric crowd experience that I've ever seen. So it was it's something our guys will remember the rest of their lives. And I know it's tougher when you're not on when you're on the losing end, especially the way we played. The guys played such a great game, but that was an incredible experience. And I think that didn't surprise me the way we showed up, because we tend to thrive in those environments, and guys like the big stage. They like to get challenged. They like the thought of, hey, we're the underdogs here, because I think that's how our guys are. They're kind of like a pack of wild dogs, and you unleash them, when it's game time. And so, it was an incredible game. I did end up rewatching it. It took a while, but I just watched it from a baseball fan perspective, and it was incredible. They were extremely talented, as were we, and it was just a back and forth battle. And like I said last year, they got to hit last. I think if we hit last, maybe it's a different story. But it was just one of those games that was exciting from the first pitch really to the last.
Yeah, it was one of those situations for me as a fan. I watched more college baseball this year than I ever have before, and honestly, it stems back to that game. Just the experience of watching that and the emotion that was there. Again, not the team that I wanted to win did it, but it was just the overall, for me, just experience of a fan taking that in. I can't imagine what that was like for you as a coach and your players and the experience of that all together. Last thing on the way out here, Coach, it's interesting. A few weeks ago it was pretty cool. At the Major League level to get to see Joe Smith, the former Wright State pitcher, go up against Sean Murphy. And to see that, how cool is that for you? Again, this program's just every year just getting better and better and growing bigger and bigger. But how cool was that in the biggest stage to see a Wright State pitcher go up against a Wright State hitter at the Major League level, of course, with Joe Smith against Sean Murphy? How cool of an experience was that for you in the program?
Yeah, it was incredible. I know the guys loved seeing it. It was cool. I think Joe had a little bit of smirk on his face, pretty subtle when Sean was walking up to the box. And, those guys are here in the off season. They train a lot of times with us, so we're around them a lot. And so for our guys to see them here and then see them there facing each other on the big stages is really a neat deal. And I hope it's, we have a lot of guys having a lot of success in AA, AAA that were here the last few years. And so, hopefully we're going to see a lot more of it the next few years.
Who are some guys on your team now? I'm not putting them in that MLB scope here, but just the guys that we should be keeping an eye out for this coming up Friday. Obviously, Alex Sayer. Obviously, Zane Harris, the freaking tank that he is. I mean, he was a triple away from a cycle last weekend. I mean, my goodness, that guy ate.
Yeah, Zane Harris had maybe the best conference tournament weekend in history. Mm-hmm. I believe he was 10 for 13 in the 3 games. And I think he had 15 RBIs. I mean, and clearly it's a beach ball to him right now. He's seeing it well, and that was a pretty neat deal. He's a 6th-year senior because of COVID. He's here another year, and he's always hit since he's been here. So for it to be his last conference tournament and him to really carry the team offensively was pretty neat. But yeah, Alex Sayer was our conference player of the year. A really good hitter. He's been solid for us all year. Justin Reamer's a redshirt freshman. He's our leadoff guy. He's kind of our spark plug. He's a little guy, but just finds the barrel and doesn't chase pitches and gets on base a lot. And, offensively, guys are confident going in, which is what you want.
Yeah, Zane Harris had 5 RBIs against Oakland, and then Sammy Sass had 9 RBIs against Oakland as well. A lot of guys had big weekends for you. It was fun to watch that. It's going to be even more fun to watch him this coming up Friday. Alex Sogard, Wright State head baseball coach, good enough to join us this Friday. The 4-seed Wright State taking on the 1-seed Virginia Tech, 7 o'clock. Again, Wright State coming off their 5th Horizon League title in the last 7 seasons. Alex, thanks so much for your time. Rooting for you. Can't wait for Friday night, and we'll talk soon. Thanks so much.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
The Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash. Presented by Brad Mays with Home Experts Realty. Weekdays at 3 p.m. on 1410 ESPN Radio.
ESPN 1410 Wing AM weather.
This afternoon.